Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the CantinaMX Podcast. My name is John Jagu. Glad to have you guys with us this evening. As always, we do have, like we mentioned earlier, we have a lot to get to, so we'll jump into that. I'm having technical difficulties. I'm not sure what's going on with my audio, but we'll get that figured out here in a second. But do want to thank you guys for joining us. We are live on YouTube, as we always are, Wednesday night, usually around 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern, and 7:30 Pacific. We'd love for you to join us on the chat on YouTube. Normally, we would have a telephone line for y'all to call in and join in on the fun, but that will not be available tonight. We'll make sure we have that going for you guys next week. But I am John Jagu. We have another panel of experts joining us tonight, and we'll be talking about, of course, the two qualifying matches that Mexico played over the weekend and yesterday in Mexico City and in Trinidad, and they won both matches, 2-0 to Costa Rica and 1-0 over the Trinidad and Tobago team down in Port of Spain. So congratulations to Mexico for that. We'll talk about Hawaii a little bit later, but I think that we need to get the campaign going to make sure that Joel does the pulido haircut when Chivas wins the championship, because even Profe Osorio got a new do after winning. So we'll dive into that here a little bit later. Of course, Albert at Chiquiscampa will be joining us in and out. He's right now he has been contracted to go. He's like what was that Jason Statham movie where he's like the driver? Joel, you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not familiar with that one, John.
I know the movie. I just can't remember the name.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that's what the transporter. That's what Cheeky says right now. He's the transporter. He's been contracted to go pick up someone at the San Antonio airport. So he'll be checking in with us momentarily. But you guys heard voices. Let's go ahead and introduce them. First, we'll introduce in Escondido, California, Daniel Preciado, who joins us live from the West Coast. Daniel, how are you, sir?
I'm good, John. Good evening. Good evening, Joel.
Good evening.
Daniel,
pretty exciting stuff, man. We're maybe not exciting, but happy. You know, we're gonna qualify caminando.
Caminando, he says. Well, you have to be particularly happy with how well the beard played. Nestor Araujo had almost a breakout performance as far as really solidifying himself on the back line of Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, there's been rumors of him possibly getting some offers from abroad, but I'll be happy for him to stay as long as he can. But yeah, he's had a good showing.
Yeah, he's done very well, and he's terrific in the air as he showed, and it has shown this season with Santos, and again he showed at the Estadio Azteca, which in my opinion was probably the biggest goal of the weekend. But we'll talk about that in more depth here in a little bit. And of course, we will talk to South Los Angeles. Joel Aceves joins us. Joel, I would play your usual theme, but I can't seem to get it to play right now. I'm not sure what's going on, so we'll get that figured out and playing for you. So I do apologize, but
now's a good chance for him to sing it himself.
That's true. That's true.
No. I don't want to murder the song. No, life is good right now, John. Chivas is atop the table, and so is the selección. There's little to complain about.
They have performed well enough to get the 6 points. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But let's talk about it right now. Why not? Let's jump in. Let's talk about the first game first. And of course, we'll do this for you folks. We'll talk obviously these two games. We'll talk qualifying around the world, because there were some pretty big teams that looked really good and some not so much. And we'll talk about CONCACAF, of course, and then we'll finish it up with a little Liga MX talks, because we have one of the sport's great ambassadors just really telling it like it is, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well. So Joel, I think last week, almost to a man, we were expecting Mexico to beat Costa Rica. A lot of us, I think, had picked the 2-0 scoreline. I believe you did. I believe, Dan, you did as well. And that's exactly what happened. And it could not have come off better with the way the game started and then played out after that.
Yeah, Costa Rica was all talk, John. When push came through, shove, or however the saying goes, they failed to deliver. Although in that first half, they did have, after the early goal, they did have a few chances to tie it up, which, you know, it brought back some bad memories, John.
Well, you know they were gonna. You know that they were gonna react, and that's why you have a goalie. But you know the goalie's there as the last line of defense, and we had a goalie that made stops that had to happen. And after that 10-minute burst that Costa Rica had offensively, they really didn't do much of anything. And I think a big reason to that, I think Dan, that you pointed this out when we were having our in-game discussion, was that Jonathan dos Santos had a terrific game, and one of the areas that I thought that he absolutely did the best in was making sure that Brian Ruiz did not really get going. I think that he really put the clamps on him, and it's not anything that people will ever talk about because it's not the it's not the aesthetic part of the game, but it was incredibly important. And Jonathan, in my opinion, is making a huge play to be a very integral part of how Mexico plays this summer.
I was surprised that he got the start, just because I didn't think he had Osorio's confidence, but happily surprised that he did get the start and surprised how well he did defensively. I mean, obviously I've seen him play in Spain, but seeing him play with the national team is you get a better idea. And I was just really impressed with just how relentless he was with just whoever had the ball. He was just on their heels constantly, not letting them breathe. And he just seemed like he was never, because he doesn't seem like, I guess I was surprised because he seems slow. He doesn't seem like the fastest player, but his efforts all there. And obviously, I mean, the other parts of his game are well known, but I was really pleasantly surprised with his defensive play throughout the entire game.
Oh, is that Chiquis? Is that you? You were gonna pop in before you head down?
I got some time. I got like 20 minutes.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Well,
Chiquis
Campa joins us, everybody. I'm sorry, from Kyle, Texas. Go ahead, Chiquis.
I was just gonna say that what Dan was talking about with Jonah, to me it seems like it was like the carrot on the stick technique, where it seems like the national team spot for Jonah has been like dangling there for so long. And now that he finally got a chance, and whenever he would get a chance eventually, he was going to make the most he can out of it and just hustle and try his best. And I think that's exactly what he did. He was running all over the place defensively.
And let's give him full credit for not only doing that, but also doing it in his first game ever at the Azteca. And he, I know that he slowed down just maybe a little bit in the last half of the second half. I mean, he obviously didn't have the same tenacity, but who does? But he didn't have to be subbed out. I mean, he wasn't causing he wasn't having pases flojos and anything like that. I mean, he may not have been running as much, but he made sure that he was still well within control of himself. And he put on a terrific performance. And the other player that played really well, to no one's surprise, was Carlos Vela, who is clearly I think he showed this again in these past two games. Even the little bit he played against Trinidad, he's clearly Mexico's best player. I think that there's not even a close second. There's no question, at least offensively, there's no question that Carlos Vela is Mexico's most influential and dangerous player. And he showed it again against Costa Rica with just a fantastic pass and then a really good corner kick.
Yeah, that pass, he had vision on that pass. I was like, just looking
with his right foot too.
Yeah, the best part of that pass is that they saw each other and they both recognized it immediately. I mean, you could just see on the replay that they both caught each other's eye at the same time, and they made it happen, man. It was a beautiful thing, and then that was a hugely important part of the game. Not only the fact that they scored early, but the fact that it was Chicharito that scored. That really lit up the Azteca. They were in a partying mood after that, which Hasn't usually been the case when Mexico plays lately at the Azteca. So it was obviously a huge goal to get it early. I think equally as important was the fact that it was Chicharito that did it because, for better or for worse, he is the face of the team. And if he plays well, then usually Mexico plays well.
I think more importantly for his psyche, it was important for him to get that goal. But he's still struggling. I at least some of his goal scoring prowess, he's still not 100% there. I mean, obviously we'll get to that other game, the Trinidad game, but he missed some chances. But that it was a great goal.
Yeah, and he also, remember in that second half, right before he was subbed out, that pass he laid out for Jurgen was absolutely terrific too. I mean, it was just it was the two best plays in the game, and unfortunately Jurgen has the he's like the worst of both worlds. He's an indecisive Cabrito Arellano. So not only can he not score, he can't decide when to not score. So it's very difficult for Jurgen.
It's kind of like no matter what he chooses, it's going to be the wrong decision.
The wrong one. He should be like George, like what would I do here? I should do the exact opposite of what I would
yes.
do. And then he start playing better.
But it was just like, I mean, the few times that where his first touch was really good. He had control of the ball, then he had time and space to think about what he needed to do. He would just, some of those crosses, he just launched them.
Right.
And
well, he was.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough, obviously.
However, but
it's disappointing to see that no matter how young he may be or how new to the moment he may be, it's always a bad sign because usually the good ones deliver right away.
Jurgen is going to be a great player in the Gold Cup. He's not going to make the confess. I mean, especially if Chucky and Tecatito get better, Jurgen will be a starter in the Gold Cup. Unless that's and there's nothing wrong with that. And then the way I see Jurgen is that yes, he did have. Should I say Jurgen or Jurgen? Joel, what's the proper pronunciation of a?
In Mexico is Jurgen.
Jurgen. So I should call him Jurgen.
Jurgen.
That's what I say. Yeah.
Jurgen. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he did have a couple, but then he also made that terrific play at the end that should have resulted in the goal. So the fact that he made Mexico infinitely more dangerous, regardless of whether or not the plays worked out or not, I think we'll obviously send a clear message to Costa Rica and to the rest of the league. Hey, you know what? This guy may not necessarily make the best decision, but occasionally he will make them. And when they do it, it might end up badly for y'all. So
who was that goal that he got against where he fooled the goalkeeper?
It was Honduras.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
Yeah. And also to his it's not like he plays poorly at Tigres. I mean, he's usually a really good crosser of the ball at Tigres, which is why I was, when I saw him come out, I said, well, this could be interesting because there's.
Do you think he might have gotten intimidated by the goalkeeper somehow?
I think that he was just amped up, and when you're amped up, you really can't. You're hitting the ball at what you think is whatever power you think you need to hit it. It's probably like 25% more than what you expect, and so I think once he settled down, I think he was much better. Yeah, but he was definitely anxious when he started out. Yeah, I mean, again, that was his first qualifier at the Azteca too, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, that's a big deal. That is not a. For as much as we try to think, and it's pretty much what we talked about at least I did for the past couple months, that the how the Azteca has to earn it back, and or I guess the players have to earn the Azteca back, and the Costa Rica game obviously was a good start, and they have three in a row.
Well, as far as earning the Azteca goes, that's all dependent on that early goal, I think. Because I mean, I think it eased tensions and it allowed people to enjoy the game.
Right.
Had it been scoreless at halftime, it would have been a different story.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about. You're absolutely right. Then there's no question that Mexico will play much better at the Azteca if they get a goal within the first 15 minutes. There's no question. And I mean, it even happened in the last, like the only goal that they scored when Chepa was coaching them was like in the 8th or 9th minute against Honduras when they went up 1-0, and then they couldn't hold the. they couldn't hold the lead,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Costa Rica struck me as a team that just wanted to walk away with like the most minimal damage possible.
That's the way they were playing in the second half. They definitely were affected by the altitude a little bit. I think Mexico was too, because Mexico, I mean, they'd get going on the counter in the second half, and Carlos Vela's like barely running at 40-50%. It's let's slow this down, because not everybody is up to speed. So it was pretty funny to see that.
So you think it was the altitude? I think it was their mentality going into the game. I don't think they had any intention of going for the win at all. I think it was all talk, mostly from the fans and from pundits.
Yeah, well, I agree too. I think that they would have been really happy with a 0-0 like they got the last time. And
because you think about it, I mean, it made sense to go for a tie or minimal damage. I mean, you're typically not going to win at the Azteca, even if you are Costa Rica,
Right.
and you have the claim to have done it before. I mean, it's still a long shot. So the way they lined up with, I think, I don't know how many, like 6 midfielders or something. I mean, it was obvious what they were going to try to do, and it didn't work out.
It didn't, and it didn't work out for them because of the fact that your boy Nestor Araujo scored that goal right before halftime, which really was the dagger. I mean, that was for have it happen right before halftime.
I got a question on that though.
What you
Actually,
got?
on both goals, the Chicharito goal was really. I mean, the chip was pretty nice. I've seen goalies block that, but the Nestor Araujo goal, I think on Raza Deportiva they were talking about that was a mistake that he made. It was an error. And some guy they were interviewing, Marin or some goalkeeper coach, who was saying, like, they were comparing him and Ochoa. He said Ochoa couldn't even shine his shoes and everything. So do you guys think that was an error? Do you think
Well, do I think it was a goalkeeper error?
a goalkeeper error on Taylor's part?
I do not. I think it was just a really good. I mean, the ball. He stopped it. He just stopped it inside the net. Because he didn't like drop it. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it went through his legs and he kind of caught it behind his butt.
He was going backwards, so even if I think the ball was always going to go in, because his body was taking the body, his whole body was going backwards. So I mean, yeah, he stopped it, but he was falling backwards. So I think that's where some of the criticism that I heard from saying that he was poorly positioned, and when the shot came, he was actually backpedaling as opposed to going at the ball, or standing his ground.
It never hit his hands before it was a goal. So for the people who say that he dropped it, that's just not the case, because the ball he never had a chance to possess it before it ever became a goal. Now, once it was in a goal, and he kind of fumbled it a little bit, but it never. So I don't necessarily think it was a mistake. I just think it was a good header. It's Nestor scored the goal. I mean, the other guy, and it wasn't like, it was a howler where like he catches and he drops it. And no, he did. He never at one point.
He outjumped him from behind.
That was a hell of a good play, because Oribe, he ran in front of him and he took 2 guys with him because they thought it was going to be a near poster, and he left Araujo just wide open. So they that was definitely something that was fabricated for sure, and it obviously worked out. Again, I think that's something that we need to look at, because Rafa went down with, if I'm not mistaken, back spasms. Joel?
I have no idea. I just thought he was tired, John.
It was lumbalgia. Isn't that like lower back, like lower?
I think at his age, that's just common occurrence.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, that's old man problems right there, man. I wake up stiff with a stiff back every day. I mean, that's.
So do you think he got the FIFA virus and he'll just take a week off and he'll be back next week?
He has the faja culture and
they're sending him to the States to get treatment. So that means that they're sending him to the Biltmore in Arizona for a week to get masajes.
I think La Volpe has some recommendations for.
If he wanted masajes, they should have sent him to Philly. I think Ron could have.
He could recommend some places.
Yeah, he could. Those masajitos. But yeah, I don't. For Rafa, without due respect, because he He is one of the all-time great Mexican players. I don't see him starting in Russia. I wouldn't mind if he goes, but I just don't see him starting.
You don't see him, or you don't want him?
No, I just don't see him doing that. With the ability to start at, talking about like a year from now.
I think they're going to throw him out there regardless.
Not starting,
No, I think starting. I mean,
unless we play like China.
Well, that is the beauty of what we saw in Friday night at the Azteca. Frankly, is it was.
John.
I am perfectly comfortable moving Jonathan Dos Santos into Rafa's role.
I have to cut you right here, John.
I'm gonna stop. Joel. Hang on, Joel. Let me take care of that for you. Just. All right, go ahead.
We saw us at the stadium. I think he could tell us what happened to Rafa.
Well, maybe we should ask him.
Yeah, welcome, Wiso.
He seems to have muted himself.
Hey, guys. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you just fine. Wiso, thanks for joining us. An unexpected pleasure.
Well, it's a pleasure to finally be on the Cantina.
Yeah, you can go through all 4 or 5 names. It's fine. We're having a hard time with our branding.
I was waiting to hear Dos Acero.
Yeah, we're having a hard time with our branding.
No, I like it. I like the CantinaMX. I like it.
Well, see, I like the cachirules, but I think it was pigeonholing us a little bit. So we have to expand a little bit.
Si lo estamos diciendo en español, no hay problema, pero
right.
The cachirules would be
the catchy what?
The catchy rule, guys.
Yeah. So, well, thanks for joining us. Now we were going to ask you. We were going to ask you what happened with the Rafa in Mexico City. Did you see him in the zona mixta? Did they wheel him out in a wheelchair, or is he okay?
Actually, interesting. The Azteca has and the zona mixta has you have 2 feet between a wall and the little walkway where players are coming out, and then in the walkway there's usually obviously a banner for all the sponsors and all that stuff. So you have a whole wall that goes across it, right? I didn't even see Rafa walk by, and you were literally stuck in that little, kind of walkthrough where only the players that are going to talk, and maybe some players that just decided not to talk to, because I think only 5 were able to see 2 feet in front of you. So I actually never saw Rafa walk through. And for example, I didn't see Keylor Navas walk or Chicharito. They're behind the actual banner thing.
So they were in the exclusive zona mixta.
Yeah. Well, and I think
your wristband didn't get you into that one.
No, not wristband. I mean, it took forever for me to find the zona mixta from the Azteca. They put us all the way up in the 3rd level, which is really nice actually, because the NFL came and they said, yeah, that's not going to fly how the Azteca was before for press.
Can I tell you all my get lost at the Azteca story when you're done, because it's hilarious.
Yeah. Because I've heard the Azteca is just horrendous, but now it's actually really nice for press up top. I mean, there's glass all over. It's really great, but
hey, we saw.
Tell you where it's going to be. What's up?
This is Ronnie. How are you doing, man?
How's it going?
Sorry to show late, guys. Anyhow, did you ever go to the Azteca as press before they remodeled? For the Centenario?
Yes, I went a while back for a Clásico.
So okay, I remember when I went to the America Finals, the press, the press conditions were horrible. So
well, they were horrible last year. They were horrible. It was because the NFL came.
Right.
And that's why they did it. We did everything.
Okay, good. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's Wi-Fi now. I mean, you used to go. I mean, and probably when you went running, the Wi-Fi was horrible. I mean, it was just. I think even Grant Wall still to this day complains that how horrible the condition was.
He got a beer poured on him.
Yeah.
On his laptop. and he's not the only one. I mean, I think that was something that Tom said. He's like, hey, we're you don't have to worry about getting beer poured on you anymore. So.
Yeah. No, and to Grant and anybody, we got our computers hosed in Costa Rica last year, 2013. I mean, it's not like in every press, except for maybe the United States, was you get pounced on it because they put you right there with them. I mean, so. Did
you get a chance, to walk the field before
or
after?
I actually did. Yeah, at the beginning and after. I kind of went down on the bottom because after the game, no one really cares. So I was able to kind of walk through. I mean, it's majestic.
Did you see the plaques? Did they still have the plaques?
What plaques or plaques?
Yeah.
I didn't really
Like
see
at either end of the stadium, they
No,
have
I
like
was- I
one.
walked
They have
in the
one for
middle.
Pelé, and they have one for the Italy West
For the hand of God.
again.
Oh, those. Oh, I thought you meant like.
Yeah,
No, I
they
don't
had
think
the
I
one
didn't
that
get to see those. I only got to walk kind of through like in the middle of it, where by the mix zone. So I didn't really get to explore the Azteca as much as I
yeah, because
wanted.
they had the plaques, and they also had the statue of the fan sitting down. It's like a full size like bronze statue or whatever. I don't know if he's still there.
Now, Ron,
or not.
did you pose for that statue, or did you pose for the
No, I actually have
Foster
no,
statue?
no. The one with the fan, I actually took it with Perro Bermudez. So I
No,
don't
we
know
see.
if
You
it's
have to
still there or
understand,
not.
Ron is very private. He won't publish any photos of himself. So
We
all of our
finally know like what he looks like with the if we just go to the bronze. If you want to see Ron, you get to see him in the Azteca when he posed for it.
That's right. But
He's the reason we're not on video, because like we can't have everybody on camera except one person.
that's right.
Dude, it's like the big soccer, like I think when the show like post your mug like pre 2005, no one showed their face around, and I think it just kind of kept that way.
Yeah, I think
You know what we
everybody
should
got
do,
over
Ron,
that.
is we should light you like a like an FBI witness, where you're just backlit and you see just the black face.
Witness protection.
For the record, so they know what I look like in PMs. These guys, but
That's if the photo's real.
it's my badge. It's my badge. It's my press badges.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm glad that you got a chance to go. We saw it, but it sounds like they still haven't quite figured. They didn't have anybody ushering you to tell you, no, it's this way, it's this way, it's this way.
No, of course not. It's like I got out and I waited a little longer. Usually try to go like 85th minute. John and Ron and anybody that's covering any games. 85 minutes. If you want to you have a good spot to interview players or anything, you got to go early. And on this one, I kind of decided to just wait around at the end of the game and see if there's anything. I mean, that could happen, because sometimes at the end of the game somebody scores and then you don't even know about it because you're at the mix zone and then you get to know. So I waited, and then so I did it alone. I walked from all the way to the top and the bottom, and anybody you ask, you're like, hey, where's the mix zone? They would tell you like, oh, door 8, door 7, door 4. It took me like 25 minutes. And then finally I somehow I went to the field, I made it back, and then I finally made it to the mix zone. So no, there aren't any nice little mix zone this way or anything like that. And I think it's because, you're actually like you have to walk with the people that are at that side. So
When I was years ago, I was working at NFL Films, and we went down to Mexico City to shoot the one of the preseason games. It was between the Dolphins and the Broncos, because Marco Matos, if you remember that, he was a receiver that did pretty decently in the World League, and he was on the team. It was a big deal, and the reality is that we wanted an opportunity to go to the Azteca, and we got it. So I'm with one of the camera guys, and we want to get some color. We wanted to get the crowd running in, because, as you know, the Azteca, a lot of it for many years was general admission, so it was kind of a free for all, and you get in and you run and get your seats. So we wanted to shoot that coming in, and we got it. We got some really nice shots of that, and then we went back. Oh, let's just go through this tunnel. Biggest mistake you could ever make. There are so many tunnels there. We thought that we were going to just pop out in the stadium and we were just going to get some No, we ended up in like an ice cave. There were just mountains and mountains and mountains of ice cubes, and we couldn't get. I had no idea how to get out. I mean, it was. If you guys have ever seen Spinal Tap, where they're one of their shows and the guys trying to show them to the stage and they're making all these turns, that's what it was like. It took us about 20 minutes to get out. But we got out, and then we found. We just said, "Why don't we just retrace the way we came back?" We did that, and then we ended up okay. But yeah, but it was very interesting. Ronnie, have you ever gotten lost at the Azteca?
No, I've always had every time I go, one of the guys from Televisa I always give him a heads up that I'm going to be in Mexico City, and he works there and he knows the stadium really well, so I always tag along with him. So yeah, but I love the stadium for all its shortcomings and everything. I'm glad that they've upgraded it, but even architecturally, I think the stadium is still beautiful and it still holds up.
Well,
And-
it's one of the few stadiums in the world, honestly, that you take a look at one picture of it and you go, "Oh, that's the Estadio Azteca," from the outside. I mean, there's no stadium that looks like it. It is 100% unique.
Yeah.
It is very
Did they model
identifiable.
the Dallas Arlington Stadium to the Azteca? What I heard.
Well, I'm not sure particularly about that one, but I do know
Inspired.
that the Estadio Azteca also inspired luxury boxes because it was the
Yes.
first stadium that had luxury boxes, and it was Lamar Hunt actually out of and the gentleman who built the Astrodome. They were the first ones that said, "Hey, maybe we should do these." Like the Astrodome, Ronnie, weren't there luxury boxes at the very, very, very top row, which looked like we're a mile away at the time?
The dome, yes, they were. It's when the architect of the Azteca Stadium died a year ago, 2 years ago. They actually did a story about about the Azteca, and just I was just in awe as to how the architect was able to change a couple things because he was getting his ideas from Europe, but there are certain things that he just didn't like. Like in England, and like kind of like similar to the like Bombonera, where everything is like squared off, with these just little subtle movements that he did, as to how he got the curvature of the stadium. I mean, basically, there's not really a bad seat in the house at Azteca. You can watch the game, and it's from even from the nosebleed sections, and it's just still a beautiful shot.
Yeah, and the sound in there is really, really tremendous. There's a really unique atmosphere. So is the press box still open air, or are you behind plexiglass?
No, yeah, it's open air, but they surrounded everything through plexiglass, and it looks like it's bigger now. I mean, probably like 100. You could fit in there because it's 4 rows. Yeah, and then it goes. I mean, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe like 8 rows across and 4 rows up. I mean, it is
Wow.
massive. I mean, it takes a whole. It's probably like 70 yards, and I'll explain that. So from one side of the field to the other, it's like 70 yards. Yeah, because I know it doesn't go all the way through, but it is a massive.
So it's a box to box press box.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, how I guess I could explain it like hockey. If you have, how the players are in that, place, and you have like it's all plexiglass around them. Just imagine a giant section of the Azteca on that, and now.
Was the beer hitting the roof of the plexiglass at least?
No, because it's not. No, you still have open air. It's just behind you. It's a huge plexiglass going up, and then on the sides is a plexiglass on the side. So technically, I mean, if you needed to throw beer, you would have to throw it over the plexiglass into us. But I think everyone
there will be a resourceful soul that will figure out a way.
Oh no, you can do it. I just think that I think they see all of us, and then I saw a bunch of beer go up, obviously when Mexico scored, but I was also at the bottom of the of all the press, so there was 4 rows up of press. And so but I didn't get to see that, but I'm sure, yeah, of course.
You have to, when you go back to Mexico, you have to do your advertising where you interview the players. You have to have the 2 walking sponsors of Foodmex Nation and Soccer Show walk behind them with a sign. Yeah.
I'm gonna hire 2 people from Twitter, be like, hey, would you like to be my sponsor? Just follow people behind and put the right behind them.
That's right.
I haven't seen that. Do they still do that? I haven't seen that as often.
Well, I mean, that way, you pay respect to one of the traditions of the past.
To the tradition. No, but really, have you guys? I haven't seen that in a very long time, where the 2 girls line up behind the person you're interviewing.
Well, no, they just use, at least for they use the plexi on the field now, and they also have like the backdrops for the press conferences. Yeah, they don't have the living backdrops like they used to.
The girls with the giant. That was hilarious.
Joel, have you had a chance to go to the Azteca?
Yes, sir. Yes, I have.
Yeah, and is your experience is comparable to our? Did you call a guy from Televisa, Joel, to drive you around?
No,
I did, or did you get lost like Wiso and I?
I met up with Martin, actually, Martin del Palacio, who was he was the editor for, I don't know if it was Milenio or Excelsior, one of the 2 newspapers.
Excelsior.
It was Excelsior.
No, but he worked for 2.
Okay.
La Afición, Milenio, and so he was at both of them. I don't remember which one he was at the time. This was when when Mexico hosted the Gold Cup. And La Volpe was coach.
Oh, that's 2003.
Yeah, that's when I went. They play every game right there, and so I remember when I went, and I was one of two internet websites. It was. So I was.
Who was the other?
Medio Tiempo. Medio Tiempo was just starting.
Everyone was laughing at Medio Tiempo.
Well, not like laughing because they had some good connections. They were well connected. Yeah. They were well connected, so people knew about them, but they would see my press pass, and a lot of the, you know when you go to press stadiums a lot of the press, you see the same people.
Hey, Joel, which website was it? The website that we used to write for?
Soccer Age, which turned to goal.com.
Yeah. Okay.
But people would see, oh, where are you working? And then they'll see .com, and they'll be like, when did they started letting these guys in? You know, it was very little credit for a website. Pretty much like that.
That's how it is now with us English. Like it feels like everyone's like, yeah, whatever. Since we've been there now for what, maybe 3 years on a consistent basis, the English journalists, and then now that we're asking questions in English. And at the very beginning, they were kind of like, who are these guys that just kind of like, I asked a question in English and they'd be like, en español, güey, or, kind of treat you like that. But then all of a sudden, now Osorio speaks English.
Does Osorio answer to you in English?
Yeah.
If you ask him in English?
Now. So whenever I ask him, he knows. And even the press guy, he'll pick, even people when we have up, he'll pick me because I know that I'll ask him in English. And they're starting to realize, okay, we have a huge fan base that speaks English. So... But I know that I've been, some of the Televisa guys have said
I saw a video we saw posted, and he's talking to Layun, and he's asking him a question, and there was a guy behind him trying to put the microphone.
Yeah, and then he doesn't do it anymore?
Yeah, once he realizes it's in English, he pulls it back. And he's like, oh, man, F this.
Yeah, and it's funny because, you're starting to see that a little more. So I feel like we're like, just like they kind of looked at you with the internet back in 2003, us doing stuff in English. But when we're in Mexico City, I mean, when it was a press conference, I was going to be in Spanish. I feel like if we're in the United States, I'll go ahead and ask in English. But even when he was in Trinidad, if you saw the press conference, they were, people.
Well, the Trinidad press speaks English, so they're going to be asking questions in English too.
Yeah. So, but it's like this. I mean, if even Guardiola.
See, he starts talking about doing the stuff in English, and obviously something happened. So
I'll just finish my experience.
Yes, please.
No, it was very disorganized because up until that point, I had been to a couple stadiums here in the U.S. So you would have your designated press area, and then you'll get your lunch, like a big kid's lunchables, to give you like a box with like a sandwich and an apple, or they'll have like a buffet. So this is during the Gold Cup, and they had like other teams like Brazil, and I forgot who else they invited, but it just didn't seem like it seemed very amateur, the whole setup that they had, and when they gave us food, it was like some lady had like a cardboard box, and she had like sandwiches like the ones they sell at the Metro. Have you been to Mexico City? And when you go down to the Metro,
right, and
you could buy like for $2 a sandwich.
Some of the best sandwiches I've ever had.
Pretty much, man. But it was like it was just weird, man. It didn't feel like I was in a world-class stadium,
Did they have a lady on the corner with a big frying pan, frying the tacos and stuff in the corner of the press box back there, Joel, too?
Nah, he's just like in a box and like self-served, man.
Yeah.
And then the other story, because they didn't have like we were saying how now they've added plexiglass and all that, so they would just let you into the stands. And you had to sit there in the stands. So I'm sitting in the stand, and I turn to the right, and there was like a little booth with no glass whatsoever, and that was and Luis Garcia doing their broadcast.
It's actually that's still there though, but it's in that little plexiglass. That the corner is like you have all some of the TV guys that are still doing it. So, like I said, that was last year. It was like that. No, I don't think it was them. I think it was a Costa Rica broadcast that was in the corner of that giant section with lights and everything doing the broadcast. So I feel like it's
no. They make the Univision guys go across the stadium. Like if you watch a Televisa game,
they do.
They're on the opposite end of the field.
Yeah.
Which I've always that means the Univision takes their own cameras and has their own coverage.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, they definitely do that. But I mean, it's a huge difference. I went for the Clásico, I think, Clausura last year for the Clásico Nacional. That's when I was there, and it was just horrendous. I mean, the internet didn't work. So that's why the NFL.
You're spoiled, man. You're spoiled. So you go to all these nice.
Costa Rica was fine. I've been to Panama.
Wait, we have an important question here. I can't believe John hasn't asked you. Did they give you the food halftime?
No. That's not my question. That's Ronnie's question.
That's usually. Come on, John.
They gave us little sandwiches with chips and. This could totally be a different podcast, but what is up?
No, that's what this podcast is all about. This is a barroom conversation.
We post when we go to games, we post our lunch. What did they serve you?
It was actually really good. I'm telling you. And like the NFL came and said, we need lunch, we need internet, and we need our own section. You better do it if we're not bringing in the game.
And I guarantee you, they emphasized the lunch more than anything else.
Yeah, because the lunch when I went, the lunch was the equivalent of like when you go to one of those Sunday league games, and there's a cooler with a bunch of sodas, and then.
Oh, last week you said it was a prison sandwich. That was a term you described.
Because at other places they didn't. For example, and I went to cover the Clásico Tapatío last year too, and they didn't give us lunch there, but at least the internet and we had our own little section.
Did you? So you've been to the OmniLife as well?
I've been to OmniLife and I've been to the Jalisco. Yeah, nice. So it was just by far, if I could. I mean, now the Azteca is. If probably the worst place that I can think of now is León. That place is horrible for press.
Well, that stadium was an erector set when they built it for the World Cup. I mean, it's the same. And I'm talking about the World Cup in 1970. So, and it's the same stadium. So and they haven't really done anything to it. It's just other than change the seats in León.
They painted green.
That's unfortunate.
What's up?
Yeah, I was wondering, do you think now that some of the players and the staff kind of know that you guys are the English-speaking journalists, do you think they're more receptive to the English journalists because they're not Mexican, like from Mexico?
After they see that there's a need for it, are they cool with us now?
No, I'm just saying because like there's a certain amount of animosity that the players have toward the Mexican press. I'm just wondering, since once they hear the English, do they become more accessible to you guys?
Oh no, I haven't like witnessed or felt that way. I always try to go for the same players that speak English. In fact, if it wasn't, I didn't know Héctor Moreno spoke that well English, because I've asked, for example, I asked Guardado, or I've asked other players if I can ask him a question in English. So it's not like I go up and go, hey Rafa, what do you think about them? I'm always like, Rafa, ¿te puedo preguntar en inglés, por favor? Or something like that. And he's like, yeah. And for example, Guardado, I asked him once, and he goes, ¿sabes qué? Ahorita no puedo, no problem, So before I ask him, so I don't really get like, oh, these guys are doing it in English. But at the same time, these guys are smart. They're going to want coverage of themselves and marketing themselves. And maybe not the Chicharitos, the Rafas, the Layuns, but the other ones, if they know English, I'll tell you who came up to me is Moy. After, I think he remembered that I interviewed him in English in Phoenix. Then when he saw me, they were like,
I guarantee you, Layun recognizes you. That will have and Rafa as well.
So and it's like I think they know now. So and they're not dumb. They're gonna market themselves too. And if they
Brizuela.
Yeah, Brizuela's bad.
Well, no, I just remember the Moises interview you had, and Brizuela was back there staring at you. That's all I remember.
Yeah, I think he was like, what the heck? Yeah, that was hilarious. But I mean,
That was our transporter, Chiquis, who's driving right now. He's on a very important mission.
Did we saw
in the car?
Did we saw feet drop off again? He's on the Chivas TV.
Is he on Chivas TV? Did Weasel pick up Chivas TV? Oh man, that's too bad for Weasel if he did pick up Chivas TV. Now we should talk about the game in Trinidad. No, I don't think Weasel, you went down to Port of Spain. I think that you caught that stateside, so you didn't get a chance to travel down there. I guess Weasel's not back, so just to hop on when you hop in.
You know, I had mentioned, about what was, I don't remember if it was last week's podcast or the one before, how some of the playing conditions in Trinidad and Tobago have improved, but it was funny because I saw like two reports, one from who was it? I think Fox Sports or Univision, but they were just talking about just the horrible conditions in Port of Spain. And, relatively speaking to our standards, yes. But if we compare it to 2000, they're a lot better than what they were,
Well, I mean, it was like a polo field when they played back then. It was just full of all sorts of divots, and I mean, not like aesthetically, but just it was not a smooth surface at all.
That was 17 years ago, though.
Yeah. I mean, but I just thought that was funny because they kept talking about the conditions. The conditions, like, Jesus, I mean, give these guys a break. I know Jack and Warner's not there anymore to give them a little bit of money here, but
keep the field smooth.
Yeah. But even one of the worst fields that we've had are some of the games that they had in the U.S.
Yeah, because of that turf, which would only sit there. Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, the worst one I saw was the one in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome, where they were playing on a mud pit. I mean, that was just a huge mess.
Yeah,
and Piojo did not. I mean, he was pretty mad. He did not want to play the second half.
No, and I remember they tried to wet the field, and he was just like, "What are you doing?" He got mad because they were doing it. Yeah. No, but I mean, there's some pretty bad ones. I mean, I from when I was talking to Tom, he said, I mean, it's the grass, it's real grass, but the reason it's bad is because there's like little divots that come out really fast, and you saw it on the game. I mean, these guys were slipping not because the grass was actually coming out, so when they would kick it,
the grass was growing so fast it would grab their cleats as they were swinging and kicking the ball. Now the game played out pretty much. I mean, I don't think anybody was surprised with the way that the game played out. With the obviously, especially when you saw the lineup, as you said, Dan, with the defensive lineup, and not really willing to take that, even taking Vela out, honestly, and then they got what they wanted in the second half. They got a goal on a set piece, and it was adios, muchachos, and they got on the plane and got the hell out of there with their 3 points. And that's
you know what, John? I feel robbed. I wanted that Trinidad had a legit goal, and I wanted to see Mexico. I think that was a perfect opportunity to see how Mexico would react. Playing away with
Hoyley and his self-loathing.
No.
That's what friendlies are for.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, but this was a real live test.
Away game.
No, we don't.
Yeah, a real live test, and I want to see how how modificaciones and all that stuff. I think that would have been the perfect chance to just see how
I have never seen Mexico play in the Caribbean well, and they've won games before. So honestly, I don't expect Mexico to play pretty when they travel to the Caribbean, and I think they did what they were supposed to do there.
But my thing, Ron. My thing is I feel Mexico hasn't been challenged since the Centenario. They haven't really been challenged.
Well, they were challenged by the U.S. and for about 15 minutes by Costa Rica, and that's been
but true. When are they going to get a chance to get challenged? also, Joey.
This summer, and you know what? And then that's what this summer's for.
But exactly. So the Confederation, I mean, if you're looking at to be challenged before, it's not going to happen. We're not going to face a Chile.
Well, that's why I see. That's why I feel rough.
Now we saw. If Mexico doesn't pull through, and I'm not saying that they get manhandled like they did in Copa America. Continue with Osorio or let him go?
Well, yeah, it all has to be the way that it happened.
Yeah,
okay.
Three and out.
Let's say 3 and out.
3 and out. You already had some problems before. Let's say I'll give you this. Let's start right now. Honduras comes, and there's an Aztecaso. Just straight out. There's questions right there, but let's give him the pot. Okay, what happened? Maybe it was some crazy. Unless we got totally manhandled 4-0, he's out. U.S. comes, and another Aztecaso. We don't even make it to the Confederations Cup. But let's say we win those.
So you're willing to let go of saying okay, bye Osorio even before the Confederations?
If I mean it's huge. I mean if you cannot handle, the pass of the 7-0, and I'm a supporter right now, but you have the 7-0 that happened. Okay, it was a mistake. I still think it was everything that went horribly wrong had to happen, and it was
So it's interesting that right now your stance is kind of like the stance we have. Is like, dude, you better keep winning because the minute.
No, but
the minute
it's all how though, right?
You're on the business end. It's adios.
He's safe though.
It's all on how everything develops. But he's making these questionable changes that no one agrees with. He's doing these, different arqueros, different defense, and I get it because so we're like, okay, you keep winning, and it's exactly what happened before that 7-0. We're like, are you crazy? But you keep winning. You beat Uruguay. This is Uruguay who was at the top, number 1 of the CONMEBOL qualifications, who was respected, and all of a sudden Osorio beats him, and then the Venezuela game came, and then bam, they get manhandled by Chile. So all this is happening again, and if they get manhandled by Honduras, which is doing horrible, right? It's not the same.
That's not going to happen.
4 years ago. It's not going to happen. That's what I'm saying. And then the U.S. games comes. An Aztecaso against the U.S.
It won't cost him his job.
You know what we saw with Arena back. Arena's, and I said it. Told the guys, Arena's. He's pragmatic. He's as
pragmatic as Osorio.
He plays percentages. I think they're going to have a really tough time with the U.S. in Azteca because I hate to say, but Arena tends to be our kryptonite.
Yeah,
because he knows.
You guys are putting too much importance on that game, though.
No.
Well, but the thing is, Dan, we don't have too many, measuring sticks here to go off of.
Yeah, so and it's going to be a perfect game to, either give them the confidence they need, or as Joel says, okay, this awful thing just happened to you. Now let's see how you react.
I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. does an Aztecaso. I don't think Honduras, because I think right now, and if you saw what's his name,
Honduras está en crisis.
Yeah, I mean,
no, they're done. They're done.
Yeah, I saw the press conference with their coach, dude. I think I think the tail. I think he wants to tuck tail and run. That's just my opinion.
They're definitely down. But I first of all, Arena is that type of but they're also. I saw Osorio in these last 2 games, and I haven't seen Mexico play as intelligent as they did in a very long time. And this is not, and I think this comes from a coach that does not know the Mexican game. For example, there were times when it was like a 4-on-2 counter on Costa Rica, and like you saw Osorio yelling like crazy to bring it back. So, and when I asked that to Layun, I'm like, Layun, what did the coach tell you guys differently? Because it looks like you guys were not apresurados to score another one. It almost reminded me of the U.S., the way the U.S. plays. Very intelligent, very composed, in that sense. But when they're up 1 or 2-0, they're not going to go crazy and keep on scoring and going forward and try to really kill you. They're going to play smart. And I think we're seeing that from Osorio's teams. And we saw it in Trinidad and Tobago también, where it was like, you know, they didn't know this is you know, they didn't get nervous.
But wait, so sorry to interrupt, but that coming from the U.S., coming from Arena and that mentality, it's to be expected. What I'm not certain of is if Osorio is doing that because he's playing percentages, or is because he's scared and he wants to hold the lead and protect his job. That's the difference where I question it more than I don't question it with Arena, because we know what he's like. We know he plays percentages. We know that he's a smart coach. I'll give him that. You know, he may not play the prettiest, but he's gotten results, and I don't think anybody can deny that.
I think Osorio has already made has made comments about this, that, you know, his objective is to win.
Yeah.
And I think he's admitted as much as the fact that the team has yet to play to what he wants them to play like. So I think he's still trying to get that form that he wants to see the team play with.
Yeah.
So the way, Ronnie, that you described
Bruce
Arena right then, I mean, you could realistically say that about Juan Carlos Osorio too.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't think the difference between other coaches and Mexican coaches when they play the U.S. is that the U.S. outcoaches them. If you look at all the losses, it's because the U.S. outcoached Mexico, and I feel like Osorio's not going to want to get outcoached, and is going to play that game that, all right, I know exactly what you're going to do, and instead of us doing the same thing, we're going to do this, and we're going to change things. And that's probably one of the things that Osorio is helping.
That's the thing with Osorio, though. He unlike probably any other coach I've ever seen managing a team, is that what he does is, because all he does is prepare for he lines up like his entire starting 11 and his entire tactics around nullifying the opposing team.
Mm-hmm. Which it gets in question, because that's what you do at a club team. He says he learned that from Ferguson, or he learned that from someone in England.
Well, he takes it to other levels. I mean, when you're switching out the goalkeeper, I think that's the one position where I think he really just like kind of like no mames, like come on, like just stick with Ochoa already. You know, like,
no mames, güey.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and I think that's where I go. Okay, yeah, he learned that, because I think he quoted someone saying that in the England game they do that. They really plan for a team, and the best, you know, rotation that helps that team, whatever. But you don't do that on a national team. These guys aren't together enough to work that way. But again, he keeps getting.
You can see it though. I mean, like regardless of how it looks. I mean, when you saw the starting 11. I mean, you knew what kind of ugly ass game it was going to turn into. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind seeing who was starting in that 11. When you line up with, I don't know what, 6 center backs, you're trying not to get scored.
But everybody was laughing at Reyes being in there, and Reyes was the one that scored. I mean,
well, I don't know why he gets so much criticism. I mean, he's above all else, he's probably one of the few guys in Europe that's actually routinely starting at this point. So, and I'm talking about the defensive players too, him and Moreno.
He plays him in that position, and right now Moreno, Rafa have done a better job.
I believe the transporter wants to say something. Go ahead, Chiquis.
I was just going to say the spirit of Johnny Rico seems to be in the air with the Osorio hate. And also though, hasn't Reyes played in that position before in other games, and all of a sudden now we're hearing a lot of hate?
Not really. I don't think did he play at the beginning at the end of America like that or something? No, he didn't. No, he did. Was he
the midfielder? Is that where I did not get to watch the game last night because I was busy working?
Yeah, like the midfielder.
Oh, he played that for America all the time. I mean that's frankly where I thought his future was going to be. Was what like the Torrado position?
Yeah. Good
Lord.
Home?
Ronnie's about to go get some fast food.
I'm actually going home, dude. I'm leaving. I'm leaving school, dude.
Whataburger.
Oh man, Whataburger! I just found these buy one get one free coupons that we got at the basketball game.
We don't have them here in California. I'm gonna have to Are they everywhere except California?
As far as I know, I thought they were just in Texas. Whataburger?
We don't get Waffle House either.
They're in Arizona too. Hey, really quick.
Whataburger's in Arizona?
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, Texans love their Whataburger.
Do you like it, Weasel?
Yeah, that's good. It's all right. It's not like no, but if you're from Texas, you love your Whataburger. I know a lot of people especially people from El Paso, man. Everybody worked at Whataburger for some reason that I know. Hey, really
have you
quick
been to El Paso? You would understand that.
Hey, really quick, I have to take off, but I had to ask you guys one question while I was thinking about all the food stuff at the Azteca and all that other stuff. And I didn't really notice this because I've been living in the U.S. for like now a very long time. And every time I go to Mexico, I'm just kind of like, what is up with any drinks that you get? They don't give you ice, and I'm like, can I have some ice? And they look at you like, why? Like the whole al tiempo. I was laughing because in the Azteca they gave us this great sandwich and they gave us this food and then they gave us Cokes, warm Cokes, and everybody was drinking them. And I was like, this is, I don't know.
My grandpa,
Could have been a hot big red.
My grandpa would get on me about that, about drinking, Cokes with the ice, because he just didn't understand it. He didn't understand that.
Mexicans are crazy.
You'll get a cold.
Yeah, you're gonna catch a cold. What the?
Yeah, and I think, but go back and ask your parents or your grandparents when they're like, and I remember my grandma goes, "Una Sprite por favor, al tiempo." And I'm like, what?
Yeah, dude, that's how my
over the weekend.
Yeah,
over the weekend in the drive-thru, I went to a Mexican place, and they asked me as I ordered my soda, con hielo o sin hielo.
Well, when I travel with my the Longhorn Spanish Radio Network, both guys when they go to the wherever else, bring me a Coke, no ice, both of them.
Yeah, I'm like I didn't have a choice because I really wanted to eat and I was thirsty and I'm just drinking my Coke and everyone's they don't have a problem with it. And I go, is this maybe a U.S. thing? Do we just put ice on everything?
We're really spoiled, man.
But it's funny you say that, Weasel, because one of the food trucks that I have with my brother, we have it university, and obviously we offer some of the Mexican drinks like the jarritos and stuff like that.
Ronnie, do you offer sangria, señora?
No, we don't. No, we don't. But
are you serious?
We do get some students, believe it or not, that want their drinks al tiempo.
Ronnie, I can forgive you for marking up the guac. I don't know if I can forgive you for not having sangria, señora. That is.
Remember, we're limited space, dude. Limited space.
Well, that's fine, but just add it to your rotation, dude. That's all I'm saying.
And I also wanted to throw that we were selected by the NFL draft to be one of the official vendors here in Philadelphia for the NFL draft. So very happy about that, guys.
We're all gonna get laid.
Congratulations, buddy. That is fantastic.
Yep. Yeah.
That is great news, Ronnie. Congratulations. That is a big deal, man. That is.
Congratulations, Ron.
Thank you.
Maybe you can sponsor the show.
There you go.
You know what? It is in the plans. But I do want to get a truck just to take the games and just echar desmadre, with a show, just so we can eat and have fun and watch the games,
Well,
that's interesting.
I gotta run, but it's always a pleasure to thanks for inviting me. I had a chance to do it today, and if I get a chance, I'll come in and have fun with you guys on another episode. But you guys are doing an amazing job.
You are always welcome here. Thanks for joining us, and we appreciate you and what you do in your Mexican soccer show and your website. Thanks very much for what you do. We appreciate it.
Thanks, brothers. Ahora pues, nos vemos.
Hasta luego, Wiso.
See you later, Weasel.
That was the Wiso Vasquez, the host of the Mexican Soccer Show, that just stopped in to have a beer with us here on the CantinaMX Podcast. Of course, a figurative beer.
Yeah.
I can't vouch for Wiso if he was enjoying a beer or not.
Delicious beer right now, John.
What you got?
I'm gonna have another. It's a tangerine IPA from Stone Brewery, and they're at Costco on sale for like $3, like the 22-ounce bottles.
So you had to buy like 40 of them.
I bought 3. I was good. I was like, all right, $10. That's not so bad. I feel a little bit guilty if I splurge on myself.
So you like the fruity fruity beer there?
Oh, well, the hoppy beer.
Hoppy beer with the citrus.
Yeah,
Citrus overtones.
Yes, it's a nice waft of tangerine.
Yeah. Do you think that a beer like that would ever have a chance to be sold at the Estadio Azteca?
Never. No, actually, you know what? It's only a matter of time because I've been over to in Valle de Guadalupe, and they seem to be hip with a lot of that stuff. You know, they have like cheese plates and wine and stuff. So it's just a matter of time before the craft beer reaches over there too.
You know,
Give it time.
Talking about food and stuff like that. You know, I the times I've gone to Mexico to cover games over there, I never made it a really big deal about the food that they served at the stadiums, because one of the reasons why is because you can get really good food anywhere in Mexico City, you know, on the streets and stuff like that. That it just, to me, it never really mattered, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to eat, there's a spot right outside the stadium.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's actually what we did. I mean, there were you know, eat outside the stadium, great tacos and everything. So,
you know, I had an idea when I was going to apply for one of the positions at the FC Dallas years ago, and that was one of the things that I wanted to do, was to have like an esplanade in front of the stadium, like, and have different food trucks and stuff. I don't know if they do it now, but I'm sure they do. But that was one of the things that I was going to propose to them.
You know,
so,
let me just chime in about the food, though, man. I think it's underestimated, though. Just in certain places where the food where the tacos aren't accessible. Like if you go to resorts in Mexico, good luck finding a good taco, man.
Yeah.
Like the resort food that they actually have is extremely.
Well, I think the resorts
bland.
try to mark up food, so they're going to go with dishes that you can mark up a lot lot more, than a taco. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and those all inclusives they're not gonna be the best quality food.
But like like I know that, like, for example, especially in Toluca, on game days, there's so many vendors, and you can get really delicious tacos and stuff like that. So for me, eating, outside inside the stadium is like, no, never mind. I'd rather wait and eat out, out of the street, when I'm done.
But one thing is, if someone who's there is expecting, maybe something a little nicer, might be in a better mood, and it's all PR. It's you're playing mind games with these guys. They may not cut you to pieces as badly because they had some really nice carnitas there for the pregame meal. So,
hey, changing subjects, going on to what I asked so I asked you guys the same question. With Osorio, obviously, let's say he's 3 and out, but Wiso basically said that he would consider it even before the Confederations Cup. That obviously the game against Honduras and the United States. What about you guys? I mean, whatever happens, would you guys be willing to get rid of Osorio before, or would you just wait for after the Confederations?
Well, I think that he's going to do the Confederations, whether they win or lose. He's going to do it. But I'm now leaning more toward of what Joel said. It's like, I'm not saying that I want it to happen, but if they do lose to the U.S. and it's the game right before they go to Russia, if they lose, how are they going to respond to that? Because I mean, honestly, you can't ask for more on many levels. It would be the biggest kick in the nuts that Mexico could get before going to a tournament. How are they going to react to that?
Even a tie could get highly, because I've been seeing some criticism over the win at Trinidad.
Right.
It feels a bit ridiculous.
Pero no jugaron. Ganaron, pero no jugaron.
Yeah, I find that ridiculous. I mean, just 10 points, qualification pretty much in the bag, and they're finding something to complain because they know that's what sells, and it's almost similar, if you guys remember, to the previous cycle, and when Mexico played 3 games before heading over to Confederations, and some of that carried over to the tournament. That criticism carried over, and they were saying like it's not getting any better.
That's true.
And they're playing 2 World Cup champions.
No,
Nine
you're
World
right.
Cup.
You're right. A lot of that negativity carried onto the Confederations Cup for Chepo. And you're absolutely right about that, Joel, because
Yeah,
that is a concern, and I think it is a valid concern because obviously it's Mexico's rival and stuff like that. But anything, I mean, you know how the press is in Mexico. They see blood in the water, they're gonna come in.
yeah, and you know what, Ron? I don't think Mexico played bad in that Confederations Cup against Italy and Brazil, and I mean they lost, but I don't think they played bad. And now I just like Osorio, and if he had a similar showing, I wouldn't be asking for his head, Well, against that type of rivals.
Right. The now. So that's going to be the big test then for and that's why I would want to keep him, is because of the fact that okay, now let's see what you can do after that, and if things don't improve in this one. Now we also have to understand, although the situation is a little different because it's part of the run up, that playing qualifiers and playing a tournament are two totally different animals. I mean, when you're playing a qualifier, you got guys for 2 or 3 days, and you just have to get the result and get out. As for a tournament, you're gonna have your team for a minimum 3 weeks before the tournament, work on whatever it is you want to work on, and then usually in tournaments, the longer you go, you start playing better and better, and that's a tournament. That's that dynamic. So it seems like a lot of folks that criticize, and not just Mexico, that criticize. That criticize other teams when they just when they play badly but just get the win as well. This wouldn't work if they're playing in the World Cup. Well, no, because it's a totally different style of play. It's a totally different mindset and preparation. So I think that the comparisons are to me are always invalid. Comparing to how they did in the how often do you see a team play really 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 well in a qualifier? I mean, most qualifiers it's in CONCACAF particularly. I mean, it's they are not easy games, and now Mexico's made it to where now the home games aren't necessarily as easy as they used to be either. So it's they are definitely nail biter. It's a completely different dynamic. Jeez, I didn't mean to put you all to sleep. I'm sorry. Good Lord.
Hey, I say if Osorio puts in danger the qualification to the World Cup, then that's an issue. But if he goes 3 and out in the Confederations, I don't have a problem with that. I think for continuity's sake, just for once, let's have him go throughout qualifying and then the World Cup.
But Chiquis, he's brought in because they want a coach that could take
Progress.
us past that. Yeah, they want a coach that could take us past that, take us to that 5th game. So he's not here. Like what he's doing in at this CONCACAF level, it's nothing we haven't seen before. I do think we exaggerate a bit the whole we haven't won there in 50 years, but in those 50 years we only played like 4 times. But it just sounds more impressive to say that. Oh, first win in 50 years.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Joel. I think that is blown out of proportion because keep in mind, it's not like these teams make the hex every time.
Yeah.
So it's like and again we haven't even done the hex started in 98 if I recall. So it's blown out of proportion and it's more like a shock. Reporting. If
you're right, Ron. And then if you take it the context of the games that that Mexico quote unquote didn't win. One was in 2005, and the other was 2009. 2005, that was the game that Trinidad. It was the last game. The Mexico had already qualified. It was the last game of the Hex, and Trinidad scored in what was just a very very bad call. They were offside, and it cost Guatemala a chance.
I remember that they were crying conspiracy.
Yeah, because I mean, it wasn't anything Mexico did. It was a shot that was I think it hit the post, but when he had hit the shot, the player that got it off the rebound was offside. So he's offside. I mean that is the rule, and he was offside by a good 3 or 4 feet. It was very obvious. And they ended up winning 2-1 on that, and they bumped Guatemala for probably their first World Cup, and Trinidad went instead.
Yeah, but Guata didn't forgive us for that. But you're right.
But it wasn't anything Mexico did. I mean, that's that was all the refs. So let's we have some chapines. We should just I don't know if we're bringing up some old wounds, but just a little soothing music to calm you down.
No, but that one game not so long ago, La Volpe said that he hinted that they had him throw the match, like take an alternative squad and just.
You're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Mexico was qualified, and this was part of when the Warner was still and a
right.
lot of he said it, and if I remember when Bora was coach, he didn't really throw the game, but the Liga MX teams were like, we're not lending you players, and you had to take like a B team, and he took a B team to I don't know if it was Jamaica. I think it was Jamaica, and it was like the first time they beat Mexico or something like that. But I mean,
of course, they were furious with Bora. How could you do this to us?
No, I don't think they were. Some of the press knew that, he didn't have the players. But I mean, we forget that. Or we choose to forget it, and we see reports now and say, "Oh, this is historic." And I'm thinking, really historic. I mean, it's good to win.
And the one in 2009, Mexico was in the World Cup, and Trinidad was out. So they were literally it was a friendly. So there was no, and that one ended up a tie. Yeah. So, but the last time where they played, it meant something, and there was still something at stake. Mexico beat them handily 3-1. So it was just.
It makes for good talking points for the casual fan, I think. It's like just for something to hang on to, like, oh wow, we haven't won there in that many years, and that makes it more significant, I guess. But I agree, it's kind of silly to put so much emphasis on that.
What it does, Dan, is that it takes away time from us to talk about, and we should now give them just a little love here. Your boy Nestor Araujo, who probably played as just a terrific. He was consistent in both games. He was really good in both games.
I agree. He was solid, man. He actually kind of impressed me too in the Trinidad game. That their forward is a speedy, athletic guy, and he was able to keep up with him, shut him down for the most part.
And you know what I've noticed with him? He has a pretty decent touch on his long passes.
Well, I think that's essential. I think if you're going to be playing with Osorio, I think it's part of what he wants out of his players is be able to play with the ball at your feet a little bit. And I think I'm assuming that's why he has to call some of the guys that he does. But yeah, no, Araujo's just been really impressive. I know a lot of people were questioning him at first, but I think everybody's on board now.
Yeah, well, he definitely showed folks that. He made a really good play in the one play that I saw against Trinidad in the highlights. The Trinidad guy had an open. It was the one that everyone's laughing at the Trinidad guy for missing it so poorly. Well, the reason he missed it so poorly is because Araujo completely cut off his angle, and the guy had no choice but to. He made him misdirect at the last second. That was all Araujo. That wasn't the guy mishitting it. That was Araujo forcing the mishit. It was a hell of a good play. So,
one thing I wanted to touch on one of Beto's points he made earlier about going 3 and out. I think going 3 and out deserves to be fired. I'm currently on board. Like as far as the purpose of this is of this qualifying is to qualify. So as long as he's doing that and doing it stress free, I'm all on board. But it's undeniable that the Copa America was a failure. This is another significant test to a tournament that I think is growing in prestige slowly. It may not be respected in Europe, but I think everybody else kind of does hold it highly.
Well, it's the teams that would get a chance to play a team like this in like maybe the round of 16 or possibly the quarterfinals. They get them in the first round or a semifinal. And, if they win, they can make some noise.
I think after the 2009 Confederations Cup, I think that's when it started to gain a little bit more prestige. Obviously with Brazil and Spain there, I think that's when it really started to catch on more, even in Europe.
Right, I remember what happened. I mean, the U.S. beat Spain in the semifinal and had Brazil down.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so there's going to be a lot of eyes on this tournament. It means a lot. They have to.
Yeah, well, and let's not forget that the absolute
they can't go 3 and outs.
Biggest.
I mean, because I think the whole purpose. Sorry about that, John. Just to finish my point. Like the whole purpose of this is to progress from in the World Cup. The World Cup is a tournament, and if is only 2 tournaments that he's going to have before the World Cup are absolute failures, then how can you possibly think that it's a good decision to go with him to the World Cup after having 2 just horrible failures?
You know what, Dan? I actually been thinking a lot about this. About this summer especially, and what it's going to mean to the national team. And honestly, I'm not sure if I really want Osorio fired anymore. Regardless of what happens in the Confederations Cup.
Not just him, John. Him and Joel are singing a different tune lately.
What? No, I haven't changed mine, but I'll let Ron finish.
Oh, it's the same one. I thought I had a different one.
No, the reason is this: how many, and this is the only reason why I changed, I guess my thought process here is because how great would have been to have Vucetich coach a new proceso from starting from a clean slate, and I just think that we burnt a coach when we should not have last cycle. And I'm thinking, okay, if we do this again, if we go through the whole carousel of coaching again, which young coach or which coach are we going to burn going into this? You know what I mean?
Well, there's only one answer if he does get burnt.
Y usted no me va a decir qué carajo tengo que hacer.
I think you may be right. I mean, if he does get sacked, I think the logical choice. I mean, I forget throwing names. Bianchi or whatever. I think the logical choice would be to have El Tuca there, but I don't know, man. I don't want to do what we did last time where we burned coaches. Vucetich deserved a lot more than that, man. He got robbed.
Yeah. He was not the person for the job at the time, and he. Like you say, he's a planner. He's a guy that can build and just build a foundation and go up. He's not a fireman, and they brought him in to be a fireman, and it's just not who he is. And you're right. And not only that, but they burnt the bridge with him, with the way that they I mean, he could have won against New Zealand. I mean, come on.
Yeah, New Zealand, and then he would have had some time to work on the team. But like my take on Osorio, I see the 7-0, that was like the car crash, and then they send the person from the manufacturing company to go investigate it, and then it's like they had to issue a recall, but it would be too expensive, so it's just like you just wait to see if there's fewer
waiting to see it happen again.
It's just, yeah, so I'm at that point where it's like they should have issued a recall back then, but it was going to be too expensive, so they're just going to wait to see. Hopefully, there's no more accidents. But
all right, so here's my question for y'all. Okay, so y'all seem to be in agreement that it's a 3 and out. Y pa fuera, he's done. What if it's a 3 and out because they have New Zealand in the group, right? Let's say that, and I forget how it is, but say that they beat one of the but they only end up with tied with 4 points, but they're done in by just a ridiculous goal. So, and they play well. They play well, but lose Portugal. They tie the Russians, and they beat Nueva Zelanda, right? But they don't beat them by as many. Like say, they beat them. And I'm just throwing numbers out. It's not an indication of how I think. Say they win 5, but the Russians beat them 8. Okay, so Russia goes instead of Mexico. But Mexico played well in the tournament. They had moments that was like unlucky or whatever it is. So there's still 3. I mean, they didn't make the next round. So is that still a fireable offense? It does the quality of play determine whether or not on a 3 now if he doesn't make the next round? Is it?
Yes.
No, I
I
don't
think it
so.
does matter though. Like if we're talking about getting him fired or not, based on his record in qualifying, he has to have a colossal failure, I think.
So the car crash that Joel was describing.
Yeah, I think that's the only way because getting 4 points in a tournament's usually enough to get by. Usually.
Yeah, it's. I think was it yesterday or the day before. I was watching Fútbol Picante, and I think it was Faitelson, Hugo Sánchez, Joserra, and I forget the other one.
Al infierno. Vete al infierno.
And they were talking, and one of the panelists, brought up a point. Faitelson the way he is, but the other panelist, I forget his name. He made a comment saying that Mexico, since in the last 6 consecutive World Cups, they have been able to advance to the 4th game, which in itself is merit because there's even world powers that haven't done so, that have failed in the group stages. France, Uruguay, Argentina,
England,
stuff like
Italy.
England. Yes, Italy. So that level of consistency that Mexico has shown, because getting out of a group stage, especially in the World Cup, it's not easy. It's not an easy thing. If you really think about it, and we keep talking about it, and he brought up a good point because we keep talking about the 5th game, the 5th game, the 5th game. Well, what if we don't make that 4th game? So to not make that 4th game, which is a semifinal in the Confederations Cup, I think is a failure. I think they have to get to the 4th game, which is the semifinals in the Confederations Cup, because Mexico. I don't care who the coach is. I don't care who the
big difference. And I'm not defending them, but the big difference is they would never have a group like they would have in the Confed Cup, like the group they had the last time. Brazil, Italy, Mexico, Japan. I mean, that's just. I think it depends on who's in the group. Now, in this group in particular, I think in this case you're right. I think that they should be one of the top 2 teams that makes it out of this group. There's no question.
Even last time around, John, I think that Mexico should have done it because, for one thing, we had really one major. They had, the Italians had one major disadvantage, playing in our hemisphere and not being used to the weather, in our hemisphere. And obviously I don't remember because I wasn't alive, but reading and stuff like that. That was one of the problems that the Europeans had in the 1970 World Cup, was getting acclimated to the heat and to the weather and the humidity and all that type of stuff over here. But I think that whatever tournament Mexico is in, I don't care in what level or what tournament, Mexico has to make it out of the group stages. I think we're better than that. I think that that shouldn't be. It's like, oh, let's just go let's just participate in this tournament. I mean, we're not Guatemala anymore, dude. I think that getting into the knockout stages, that's where Mexico always has to be, in the knockout stages.
So regardless of how they play, you think that it's pa fuera?
What's that?
So regardless of how they play, the quality of play won't matter to you. They have to get the result.
Well, I mean, obviously, I want to, the 3 Gs, but.
Well, let me ask you all this. Okay, so say they lose to the U.S., which is very possible. I mean, let's face it. I mean, there's no. I mean, that is at best a 60-40 game in favor of Mexico.
Which one? The against the U.S. and
yeah, and it's right before the Confed. Then now at that point, would he have to, regardless of how they play, have to make it to the next round in order to survive? Losing to the U.S. right before.
Losing. Or does
Tuca, or do they make the call that night and say Tuca?
If I'm the federation and he gets, and the U.S. doesn't hace caso, and they have a horrible showing in the Confederations Cup, I mean, obviously, not regardless of what I think or what I feel, I think the federation is going to look other ways, look to another coach. I mean, it's not the first time. It wouldn't be the first time. I mean, they got La Puente, 7, 8 months before the World Cup in '98. Obviously, Piojo also took the team late. Aguirre took on the team
See,
late.
so to me, it's the best of both worlds because, if Mexico plays well at the Confed Cup, then as a fan, I appreciate it, enjoy it, and we watch the games, and they get to the World Cup, and we panic for the group stage. We make it through, and then we suffer like no fan suffers in the next round, and then you're in mourning for 4 or 5 days, and you're just disgusted with the tournament. You can't watch, but you can't look away, so you have to like you're watching, but you're dead inside. Or they play poorly at the Confed Cup, and they have to bring in Tuca, and then Tuca goes on the ride of his life, and we all get to enjoy it. So to me, it's me personally, it's a win-win.
I think you're rooting for Tuca to come back.
I'm not rooting for Tuca to come back.
Yeah, you are.
If it happens, it happens. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying, Dan, is it quite honestly, Dan, do you honestly, at what percentage would you put Mexico to make it to the next round of the Confed Cup? It's 60 to 70% at best.
Who's in their group?
Russia. I remember they're the hosts.
Vale madre.
Portugal, and I think they have New Zealand. So
they're gonna get through.
And Russia hasn't been doing that good.
Russia's terrible, dude.
But
maybe not terrible.
But they are the host.
But it's in Russia.
South Africa was the host,
and that didn't matter against South Africa either. So
yeah, but that's South Africa.
But the calendar
and Brazil.
The calendar is we open against Portugal, so that a bad result could kind of was pretty much have.
I think that one.
No. I don't think the Portugal game is the first game. I think that they get Russia first.
Nope.
But that's
Portugal's the last game
to exercise some demons. I think.
Wait, I just had the page open.
Yeah, come on, Joel. Was it really? I thought Portugal was. Well, then you win that, or you tie it, and then you should be goal the rest of the way. That's the key game.
Here it goes.
If you could get a point out of that game.
Russia, because Russia's host, so they're obviously gonna throw them New Zealand to help them.
Oh, there's no question.
So
that's what I'm talking about, the goal differential. What if Russia beats New Zealand 8-0? Mexico could beat them 5-0.
So June 17th, Russia opens up against New Zealand, and a day later, it's Portugal versus Mexico. And then our second match is going to be against New Zealand, and then we close against Russia.
Really? So they're playing for all the marbles in the last game. So that is so it'll be it won't be like in the last one where they lose the first two and then they're out because they're playing Japan in a tramite. They'll actually have something to play for against the Russians. So that's the whole that's the key that unlocks this whole puzzle for us. Then is those Russians again? They're behind everything now. They're behind Osorio's future.
Do you think they're going to be able to get a result against Portugal?
I don't think it's going to matter because they're playing Russia at the end. Because I don't think. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have 3 points because they're going to, and Russia's going to have 4 points at the most. They might have 6, in which case, it's. But there's no question that the last game is going to be.
Yeah.
The game that decides everything. Interesting.
So yeah, it looks like you might be looking at a scenario where Mexico would probably need a point to go through, where Russia needs the win.
Or maybe the only way that either of them get through is with for sure is with the win. So, it's going to be a knockout game. So that'll be, that's like playing Croatia. It was a knockout. That was a knockout game too. Of course, we're making the assumption that Mexico's not going to beat Portugal for whatever reason. That could.
I'm not making that assumption. That's why I said it's a good chance to exercise a demon.
Exactly.
and that's why I'm hoping Rafa's there, and then trolls everybody with a fake handball.
And then scores on a header in the 75th minute.
Yes.
That would be pretty funny. That would be pretty
That would
funny.
be pretty epic if he did that. Yeah, because I mean, I remember waking up early that morning to watch that game at my friend's house, and it was just like what the fuck was he thinking? So, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to playing them. And one of my best friends from high school, throughout forever actually, but he's a big Portugal fan.
Is he Portuguese?
Half Portuguese, half Irish, I guess. American, but yeah, half Irish, half Portuguese.
Interesting. So you're gonna. But I think what you're saying is that you really want to give it to him a little bit, a little razz for.
More than anything is that I don't see that team being that good.
They're very defensive, but they have what's his face, and frankly, what's his face is.
Well, what's his face is better than any one of our what's our faces. So
he's better, yeah. And he can say that about everybody, pretty much.
I mean, that's sad, but it's not like we don't have anybody to cause them headaches. I mean, and even back then, it was just something that I couldn't wrap my head around. I'm like, why are they playing this team like this? We don't need to be scared of this team.
I was thinking about what's his face. Actually, we were talking about him when I was on the show here in Austin on Sunday, and the thing that impresses me the most is that he's been with Real Madrid. It's going on 10 years now. It's been a while that he's been with Real. Maybe I think after the 2008, well, whatever it was, but very close to 10 years. That is a long time for a player, especially an offensive player, to play for Real Madrid. A very long time. Not many guys have been able to have that kind of career at that place. That's very impressive. He's really good.
Are you talking about my tocayo?
Yes.
Yeah.
As Chicharito calls him, Chris.
Well, I think when it's all said and done, I think he's going to be better than Di Stefano.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I would have loved to have seen them play. That is like one of my wishes is to see with Di Stefano and Puskás, and I forget what the other guy's name is, just destroy people.
but here's what my thought on that, John, and I love history and stuff like that. But when I look at photographs of Puskás and Di Stefano,
yeah,
and I think I've mentioned this before. There's this famous photo of them. They're packing some pounds, and so apparently they're supposed to be
still just whipping guys.
And they're supposed to be, you tend to wonder either were they that just good, even not being physically fit, or was just everybody that bad?
When I did the Copa America last summer, the guy in charge was this Englishman who worked. One of his first gigs on TV was one of those like old timers game, and Puskás was playing. And he said the dude had the biggest beer gut, but he said it didn't matter. He said that nobody could take the ball away from him, and he was like either in his late 50s or early 60s. He said he was better than guys that were 20 years younger. So he said it was clearly even then the best player on the pitch. It just didn't matter how big his gut was.
I think in a lot of ways that you can say it was a different game, because I know I've heard in different shows where they talk about.
Good Lord, someone needs to mute their computer. Good Lord.
¡Cállese, carajo!
I mean, come on.
What happened?
Sorry,
what happened?
It sounded like a cat was being strangled.
Yeah, I totally lost my train of thought.
You were talking about Tuca and what a great acquisition he'll be there to
come mop up the mess.
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to admit it, John. I mean, you can, just because you're the host of the show doesn't mean you can't be biased. I mean, go ahead and
well, I did admit it. Like I said, to me, it's the best of both worlds. I mean, I don't want Osorio to fail. I just don't. I don't root for.
Well, I think you're falling short though of being I think there's that part of you that's hoping. See, I can honestly say there's zero part of me that's hoping.
I'm not hoping at all. But all I'm saying is, I mean, honestly, I mean, I couldn't, if I'm not saying that Tuca would actively seek it out, because I don't think he would. But if it did happen for him, that he ends up getting that opportunity, I would be absolutely thrilled. But but I don't want the reason to happen, and that's what I said. It's the best of both worlds, because if it doesn't happen, then I get to enjoy it as a fan. But if it happens, yeah, it'll suck. But like I know, hey, you know what? There's a chance that Tuca could come in, and I would just be. I mean, just because I've been a fan of his my entire life, it'd be great. But I mean, that's the only reason. I just I don't wish anybody ill will in anything like that. But if Tuca ends up being the beneficiary of it, then that's great for Tuca, and frankly, I will enjoy that.
And it would probably be, all things considered, it'd probably be a good thing for the national team. It's good for the national team to have someone like him.
Well, the way I see it
waiting
is
in the
that
perhaps.
to me, I don't think that there are a few players in Mexico or personajes, let's just say, that have done as well as Tuca has as both as a player and a coach. And to me, it would be a just reward to say, Tuca, we know that you hate the model. We're going to let you come in. The team's practically qualified. Just win one out of the next whatever it is, and you're in. And then we'll do the World Cup, and we'll do it like the European teams. We won't schedule any out of FIFA date friendlies. And until we start scheduling our warm up games that everybody does, and go do the tournament, and and he'll do it. He didn't have to, as long as he didn't have to do all the other stuff. And I'm sure that he would absolutely have that opportunity. But I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think that Osorio is going to stay. I think that it's I think that you guys, the essence of what you're saying is right. Is that there's at this point the best thing for Mexico to happen is for Osorio. If Mexico's winning. If Osorio stays, right, that's because Mexico's winning, and that is.
I'm just really intrigued by the idea of how he's going to approach these games in the Confederations Cup, which is a good preview, to the World Cup. Just to see what because you're going to see a completely different team from one game to the next. That's a given. How a team that's lined up like the one against Trinidad is going to. Like, who's he going to throw them? Who's he going to throw that team at? Because I have trouble believing he's going to suddenly, which is what I find funny about the press and fans, is that they continually complain about the rotations. I'm like, this is what he does. I mean, even with the goalkeeper, it scares me, quite frankly, for him to throw a team just as ugly looking as what he did with Trinidad against whoever that's in our group. I'm just like, man.
Well, I mean, one would hope that he knew that having a team like this is about the only way that he would not be able to get away with it against teams that possess the ball better. I mean, you need players like, if you play Portugal, you're gonna need a Jonathan on the field, because he dispossesses and possesses so well. Can Molina do that as well as Jonathan? Probably not. You're needing like an Orbelin type to make things happen. When they're going up against guys that are a little faster. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit craftier than what they might be used to.
What did you think of his performance?
Whose? Orbelin's, where he didn't play at all, or did he play?
Yeah, he played.
I didn't get to watch. I didn't get to watch the game yesterday because I was busy.
Oh, okay. Well, you're gonna have to go back and watch that. Your boy played.
Well, just tell me how he did. Just give me your opinion.
The small moments that I caught, I thought he did okay. He's got that pace. It's impressive, I think. I think he looks good with the ball at his feet.
Yeah, if he learns to hide the ball a little better, he's gonna be a really good player. That's what Ronnie. That's what the guy told me that Puskás did better than anybody was it just they would not let anybody have a chance to possess. He just hit the ball so well that no one could get the ball off of him, even at his late age.
Well, that's a good skill to have.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like that's what I think Sambuesa is. That is clear. That is he does that so well, almost as good as anybody in the league. Although I think they asked who was it? I think Pedro Bermudez said when they were asking defenders, who's the hardest guy to guard one-on-one. And they all said it was La Chilindrina, Damian Alvarez. I don't know how. I mean, now I don't know what would it be, but they said that he was just impossible to guard one-on-one. He hit the ball very well too. But those two guys are. But so Rubens for sure. You know, Chaco Jimenez, Ron, had something to say about America earlier this week.
I read it. I didn't hear what he actually had to say though.
Yeah, he was very polite. He was it was. That's all I have.
Y un saludo para los Willos. Un saludo para los Willos. ¿Quiénes son los Willos? Las Willas, las americanistas.
So there you go. So we think, Ron, and we were talking about something thinks that he shouldn't have apologized. You know, this is a Cruz Azul thing. You know, and it would be like the beginning of the beginning for the the Renacimiento Cementero practically. But then he apologized. Missed opportunity.
Hold on. Did he apologize?
Yes.
Oh, hold on. Let me try to find this.
Yes, he apologized.
I'm with you. I mean, it's kind of tongue in cheek. Why does he have to apologize?
Yeah.
It was funny.
I mean, they would say the same thing to someone asks him about or the other way around. I mean, it's a rivalry. It's
I think he doesn't quite totally erase the good deed by apologizing for it.
So you think this was a good deed?
Here's
Absolutely.
the thing. Here's the thing. Cuauhtémoc Blanco is the one that brought him over to America, from Veracruz. And obviously he didn't have that great of a career in America. And he said it himself, lo tiraron como un perro. I mean, that was very San Canaca type of comment, like where, like, me agarraron como un puerco, I think he's still a little jelly about what happened with him in America. So that's my take on that.
Regardless of what happened, though, I mean, you have to admit it's a funny comment. Like, I guess for me, being a bit of a neutral, I appreciate the good comedy and the good.
Yeah, it was a good jab, and the way he said it too. He said it very, frankly, like very much like a chilango. It was a good delivery. It reminded me a lot of that video that you posted, Ron, of the Uruguayan who has talks about some of the Mexican idioms.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he like the way that he would say the phrases just cracked me up.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
You'll have to repost that video because
he speaks with his Uruguayan accent about the whole thing, which is he's from Uruguay, but then he said, he'll say the phrase, say, well, you think it means this, but it means this, and then he'd use it in an example as he's using it in a sentence basically, just the way he did it. It was just it was really good. He's really good. It was very funny. I highly recommend give it a look. And some of those terms I had no idea. Of course, I haven't lived there in 30 years, so there'd be a reason.
Well, I was in Costa Rica. I remember using a word, a Mexican, like I guess a word that most Mexicans use, I guess, to describe something. But I guess in Costa Rica and maybe in other parts of Latin America, it meant vagina. I'm trying to think.
Concha?
I think that's too obvious, so I don't think it was that one.
I don't know if they were joking or not, but apparently what I read on Twitter, like I said, I haven't really done I haven't really looked to see if it's true, but apparently Messi told the official La Concha de tu madre or something like that.
Yes.
Is that true? Was that true?
That's the rumor.
Yeah,
dude, that word gets thrown around like it's nothing. For an Argentine, that to us, that's like cabron way. It's just part of the vernacular,
I don't see the big deal of it. I'm just like, I mean,
did you ever see like that clip of when River Plate was getting relegated? That clip of Tano Pazman, the dude that became famous. He was sitting on his couch.
Oh yeah.
That's why I wanted Chivas to get relegated, because I knew that I would find the Mexican Tano Pazman. You
know where you'd find it, Ron. You wouldn't have to go further than this podcast.
I mean, the way he was talking was hilarious. He was asking River Plate. It's like, I'm not asking you to be Barcelona with 27 passes. I'm just asking you to string up 3 passes. 3 passes.
It was like watching a human being go through the 5 stages of grief. It was pretty funny. So he became a worldwide. It was that one went all over the world, right? Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That is so mean of you, Ronnie. That's what you want for your fellow Chivas fans. You want them to suffer like that.
I think it's funny, dude. I think that he I mean, like, the guy became famous, and like they still seek him, because he's like the most famous River Plate fan now.
Now, if that ever did happen, Joel, I have to ask you a question. If it did happen, would they have to change the lyrics to this song to include "Y regresamos a primera" or somewhere in the song?
Excuse me?
I said, would they have to change if Chivas were ever relegated and they came back? Would they have to change the lyrics to that song or would it be Chivas' dark secret that everyone wants to forget?
No, I don't think it'll matter much.
You don't think it'll ever happen? It's
somos leyendas de la Liga de Ascenso.
No, they'll still be legendary. Yeah, no. I mean, because look, River Plate, man, they came back pretty strong. Yeah, they get made fun of for being relegated, but they're still better than the bulk of the teams in Argentina.
One thing I noticed in watching qualifiers from around the world was how awesome and cool the old like the Centenario and they played games at the Monumental and the stadiums in South America, just how, and even the one in Honduras, just how unique it was, and just each stadium had a lot of character, and you could kind of identify where you were just by looking at the stadium. But then you watch the ones in Europe, and you have to actually look at the scoreboard. Is it who's home, who's away? Because all the stadiums look exactly alike. There's no real original templates that they use in Europe as much as they do, and well, of course, the stadiums are older in South and Central America. I just really enjoyed seeing those stadiums being used. I mean, the Centenario was packed. I think the one in Buenos Aires was packed to the Monumental. It looked great. Am I the only one that doesn't like the cookie cutter stadiums, or am I just?
No, I'm with you on that.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, that's why I'm so disappointed that the World Cup in Brazil that they had to build all the stadiums. I'm like, they have perfectly good soccer stadiums. What's wrong with their stadiums? I mean, I know why, but it made me sad.
So is that why you love the Puebla Stadium, because it's like the antithesis of a cookie cutter?
Exactly.
I mean, if you want a unique looking stadium.
Yeah, I mean the Chivas. Well, Chivas is a little, I like the one, the Torreon Stadium. It looks like it's really cool.
Well, I still haven't gone.
John, one of the reasons why they're all tend to start to look cookie cutter. There's a major architectural firm.
Was it HOK or something, or is it somebody else?
That they're one of them. And it's like they do stadiums all over the world. So I think they do a lot of copy paste in their filings.
Right. Well, I mean, they obviously know what works, and I get that. It just seems like, I guess for even the new World Cup stadiums. I mean, they just, they're gonna look exactly. They're just they have that shell that goes around the whole stadium, and there's a hole in the roof. So when you look out on the inside, there's just you can't see the city. You don't know where you are. It's just this big blob out in the middle of nowhere.
The wife was impressed with the OmniLife, or
really?
Was it Chivas Stadium? Is it Chivas Stadium now? Yes,
it's Chivas Stadium.
Yeah, she was impressed with it. It featured on an episode of Top Chef, where the final was being held in Mexico, and part of the first challenges was actually in the stadium.
Wow.
So, and she's like, "Wow, that's a really nice stadium. I didn't know they were in Mexico." I was like, "Okay, I'm kind of offended by that, but all right."
Hey, John, it's actually Hawk is one of them.
Yes.
The other one is Populous.
Yes, I know those, but HOK is more it's like North American, and the other one is European, right?
Yeah, I think they merged, or they one of them does it, but they're basically the same. Hawk
Right.
Sport, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, they tend to do a lot of cookie cutter stuff now.
No. Did Chaco miss out on a chance? Did he?
Y la Cruz Azul
I mean, seriously. I mean, it could have been a legend. I mean, not that he isn't already, but I mean, he could have just solidified his status. If they ask me again, I'll tell them, just to really,
Like they come
reaffirm.
and ask him again. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
What about your comments? He's like, where are you going? He's like, I thought I told you to go fuck your mother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The loudest cheer in the last eliminatoria was for Chaco. That's how things got in the last one. That the loudest cheer in the Azteca was for Chaco.
Oof.
Joel, how does that make you feel?
I'm sorry. What makes me feel? Chaco?
Yeah, that Chaco got the loudest cheer in the Azteca in the last hex.
No, I mean, I could see why. He has a huge following. A lot of Chilangos, Cruz Azul fans. So he's been one of those players that goes all out for the team. I remember him. He had like an injury, and he went back in with his head bandaged up.
I was really hoping that that Piojo would have put him on the Copa America team. I think that would have been just a very nice little spot for Chaco to kind of end his. I mean, he was a natural. I might as well use him. He's still terrific. It was just unfortunate that he wasn't afforded that opportunity. I also found out this afternoon that the Pumas forward, who's the leader in goals, caught the FIFA virus in the ankle and is coming back injured, and he is in doubt for, I'm not sure how long, if it's for this game or whatever it is. So that is bad news for Pumas, because they really don't. I think out of the however many goals he scored a bunch. Obviously, he's the leading scorer. That is.
What is he at, 8 or 9 or something?
Yeah, he's at 8. I think he's at 8. Yeah, he's been great. So
he's ahead of the pack.
Hopefully
man.
that. Well, yeah, but he got a knock, so hopefully he'll be okay. Maybe just one of those things where he got the ankle and didn't play the second game. Kind of like how Rafa was, had the bad back. I'll tell you one player who I think got injured again, unfortunately, and it just having just a terrible season is Raul Jimenez. So he's probably not going to get used again. I mean, at this point, it's like, well, why even bother calling him, because he's just not playing and he's just totally out of it. It's very unfortunate for him.
I didn't think he looked that bad, though, to be honest with you. I mean, I think the lack of the midfield was the reason that he didn't shine. But I mean, he was doing his best to help create offense. I mean, he was dropping back all the way back to the midfield to get the ball.
Man, I'll tell you what he needs to do more
he did some good crosses. That one in particular that Chicharito should have put in the net.
So he played all right then, because I saw him in the Azteca. He had like one really good shot, and he should do that more often. But it just seemed like his timing was it just seemed like it was just off. It was just he was doing things that maybe when you're a little out of rhythm, you'd normally do in your sleep, but you just have to get back. Your muscle memory isn't quite there yet.
I mean, maybe there's some of that, but I like how he looks on the ball all the time.
But the worst part is he got hurt again, and that's going to be bad. That's going to be bad news for Benfica, who have decided to not play him anyway. So, now they have more of an excuse not to play him.
Well, this goes back to my point that I'm not sure if we talked about it on the show, but how I personally felt that him saying no to that China deal might have put him in poor standing with the club.
Well, yeah, I mean, the club was going to make,
that was their chance to make money off him, because he's been injured, and he's not going to be asking for.
Yeah,
his days going to be asking for him.
He's going to, whatever his contract is up, that's going to be the only time he gets, or somebody comes in. Yeah, but that it was unfortunate. And that was his agent. That was more. Joel, do you think that was more of his agent doing that, or do you think the Chinese team really wanted him?
It could be either or, John. It's hard to tell, but the Chinese teams have been just throwing a lot of money, and I don't think it's doing them any good. I saw a picture of one of the stadiums, and it's pretty much empty.
So they're not drawing the crowd. Now, as far as the athletes, the Brazilian player that got the hat trick against Uruguay in Montevideo was he plays in the Chinese league, oddly enough. So they have been spending money on good players that still have something to. I mean, obviously, he still has some. He's in his mid-20s, but I mean, they just haven't used him as much ever since that deal didn't go down, and I'm, it's unfortunate, but I think you're right, Dan.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you guys saw some of the. He was getting criticized. He was getting called a tronco already for how he looked with the national team.
He is the furthest thing from a tronco. I mean, seriously. I mean,
who are you talking about?
Our fans are.
No, well, what I'm saying is, yes, he's tall, but he has terrific ball skills for a guy.
That's like calling Ibrahimovic a tronco.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Jimmy Borghetti he's still our all-time leading goal scorer, at least for a couple more months. But even if he gets displaced, he's still in the top three, and people are always calling him a tronco.
To me, a tronco is a what's his name? A sage, who wasn't really gifted with his feet, but somehow he was. I don't know. I just right time, right place. But like John said, dude, Jimenez, he can play out in the open. He's got great skill, foot skills. He's
a real athlete.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, I mean, I think about tronco like Eduardo Herrera or
Fonseca.
Yeah, but he just had so much heart that you just love that guy. But
he had heart, but
he was a tronco and he knew it.
There was a time where I thought Kikín was going to make a push towards the goal scoring because in a very short time frame with the national team, he had like 20-something goals.
I think that was one of La Volpe's biggest mistakes was not playing Kikín more, because he's just a great hustle guy. I mean,
he scored a beautiful goal in the last game
against Portugal.
No. Well, it was when the last game before the World Cup.
Oh, against Holland.
Not Holland. It was a match against one of the universities in.
When they were playing like the University of Dresden.
Göttingen. I think that's what it was.
Right. When Omar Bravo, who's 5'4", like 110 pounds, knocks down a kid who's 6, because obviously it was a college kid.
A lot of the fans there, dude. A lot of the university students, dude, they were just in awe of seeing Brody Campos there, dude. They knew who Brody Campos was. I remember that.
They were that he was a goalkeeper, Ron.
What's that?
They were odd that he was a goalkeeper.
No. They just remembered him from the World Cups, and stuff.
I know, but they probably weren't expecting it to be.
He was a coach. He was a coach there,
Yeah, and Brody's like 5'4", 5'5" at the most.
Yeah, no, he's like 5'8".
Yeah, and he wears sandals, dude. When he wears suits, dude. What the hell, man?
Man, he's a think of what we call him at Brody. That's where he's from, man. He's a surfer boy. And that's what Brody isn't that Brody like Acapulco beach dog, and then what that name comes from.
I think that's there was a point where a lot of because before to mix English and Spanish you're not supposed to do that, but then somehow it became the in thing to do in Mexico, and they started using the lingo like Disneyad and
shopping.
El shopping, el brother.
No. Brody is a surfing term from Acapulco. It's what the surfers called each other in Acapulco.
Yeah, Brody. But I heard brother. Brother too.
Brody, but I know, but it comes from brother, brother.
Right.
Brother. Yeah, but it just I don't know. It's just one of those things that just
they just mix up, they just start talking in English, I guess, to try to sound cool now. I don't know.
Man, I got to tell you, for as good as he was with the let's face it, the onslaught that he had to deal with in World Cups, because guys are getting through. I know that some went through, but man, he was fantastic. I mean, I don't know how many times Andres Cantor, after a huge save, would go, Brody, 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 just repeat his name 20 times.
You know what? I was a big fan, John, but I still feel that Adolfo Rios was robbed. That he should have gone to France '98, and I don't know if you guys remember Adolfo Rios in the Copa America '97, the game against Brazil, especially. He went up against Rorro, and he didn't let them score. I mean, Mexico lost, but he did a lot of one-on-ones with those two guys who were at the time, the best strikers in the world.
Right. So you're saying from that one performance, he earned the right to go to the World Cup?
He had been very consistent.
Where did Rios play his club? Was he the guy from Veracruz, or was he?
He was Veracruz, and he ended up in America, which ironically, because La Puente took him out when he took over the team, and then later on when La Puente went to America, Rios was there, and Rios played a good part in winning the championship with him. But
are you saying that Brody was unworthy of starting?
No, well, he had been really bad. I mean, he had been in the Chicago Fire, and he played really terrible.
No, he didn't with the Chicago Fire. That was way after the World Cup. No, come on.
Then,
I'm gonna have to bring.
Was he not in Puebla? I think in Puebla.
I mean, come on, hold on, come on.
No,
was he? You got your timelines mixed up.
No, because he was in the Galaxy. He was in MLS, and then he came back to Mexico.
Yeah, but that was after the World Cup.
No, he came to the Galaxy in '96.
No.
What? Yeah, in the inaugural year, played in the final. They lost to Washington, to Bruce Arenas, Washington D.C. Remember the final? It rained.
You're blowing my mind.
What?
Seriously?
I don't know if you're being sarcastic now, John.
See, I don't know, Joel, if I'm more impressed that you're an MLS historian.
What? Hey, if the league had started, Campos came. I mean, you don't forget those things, man.
Now, did he do a commercial where he's driving around for Nike? He's like, I'm in LA and I'm anonymous, but if I'm in my hometown, I can't get through the street.
No, he said I'm the Michael Jordan of my country, and here nobody knows me. But okay, here it is. Here I'm looking at his timeline, John. 96, 97 Galaxy, 97 Cruz Azul, which I guess it was on loan. 1998 Chicago Fire.
So he came up and did him a favor, and started MLS and went back to Cruz Azul.
And then
you could say all those. That's right. That is the only team that matters with him. is how he did. And did he end up in Atlante? Wasn't he Atlante?
Yeah, he was in Atlante, and then he finished off at Puebla.
But honestly, I mean, you can't be that upset. I mean,
I just feel he wasn't playing. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been capped, but to be the starter, it was similar to when they did it to Memo Ochoa when he was doing really good, and Aguirre comes in and he gives it to Conejo.
That was rough.
And yeah, Conejo did have a good tournament, but you gotta feel robbed if you're Ochoa. You're at the top of your game. You've been doing everything right. And
well, who was the goalie during? I thought Campos was the goalie during the Hex anyway. In '97.
I think because let me see, going to '98.
I'm pretty sure he was the goalie in the '97 Hex, Campos. Because if he wasn't, I would have said, "Who the hell is that guy?" And I would probably remember that. But I'm pretty sure Campos played the '97 Hex.
I don't remember, but Adolfo Rios, because under Bora, so Bora was using Rios, and he took him to the Copa.
Yeah, but he also took Dorado, and he took Rafa, and was that the one where he took all the youngsters? And Pavel, that's where he found Pavel.
He took
Copa America.
He took a lot of youngsters, which was the story back then was that they were gonna fire Bora because he he left out a lot of the, a lot of the players that were the more known, the named players, and they said if he had a bad tournament,
I
they were gonna
honestly
sack
believe
him.
that should be the policy from now on. Is to send a U23 team to Copa America and just, se la juegan with the youngsters, and that's that.
So, hey, and Adolfo Rios, he came out of the Pumas cantera, John.
See, Joel, you're. You get the full one for that. Sounds like. Now Sergio says that the pinche Brody always sounds drunk, and he is kind of the spacier of the three announcers on TV Azteca. But that's just Jorge. Now, wasn't he La Volpe's assistant also at one point? Or wasn't he the assistant in 06?
Who?
Brody.
Oh, he was in the in La Volpe's coaching staff, and he's the one that he gave Quack the kiss of death. And Ronnie knows that story. I don't know if he's still here. He can relay it to us.
Yes, I'm still here. Yeah, Brody. This was before the Confederations Cup. Blanco was asking for some vacation time.
Right. But it was Brody that.
Basically, what happened was that Brody went to the hotel, and Pardo was there, and Brody told Cuauhtemoc, saying that, look, if you want your vacation, you can have it. Well, long story short is that when it came time for the World Cup, selection and stuff, obviously Cuauhtemoc Blanco got burned, and apparently one of the reasons was because the press made it out. In fact, I still have some of the newspaper clippings.
Well, of course you do.
In the Citadel. They had Cuauhtemoc Blanco, like when they were in Japan, Germany and stuff like that. They had pictures of Cuauhtemoc Blanco on the beach and vacationing and stuff like that.
So he was doing what he said he was going to do, vacation.
Yeah, and obviously the press, obviously attacked him for that. But when Blanco, said, hey, this is really what happened. You can ask Pardo. Pardo, he didn't stand up for Cuauhtemoc Blanco, and obviously Brody. Brody was always, he's never really answered that. That. But Blanco to this day, feels that he was screwed over by both Brody and Pardo for not speaking up and telling him.
It sounds to me that was more of a Pardo thing, and Brody was just an accessory to the crime, because Brody would never do such a thing.
Well, yeah. Well, Pardo wasn't going to miss his second World Cup because keep in mind, Aguirre didn't use him for. I don't. For 02 and you didn't also use him for 10.
Right. Yeah, he only played in 06, and then he ended up going to Germany. Not that Bob was a bad guy. I'm playing along. I'm kidding.
No, yeah, he played in 98 and he played in 06.
Right. Well, it seems like because they had the Gold Cup then, maybe in retrospect, if Cuau didn't want to do the Confed, hey, you know what? Listen, I don't want to do the Confed Cup, but let me take a month off, whatever it is, but I'll play the Gold Cup for you, because I remember that Gold Cup team they had was horrific, and so Cuau could have made maybe they could have worked out a deal there. It was just an unfortunate, you don't ever want the whole thing with Vera again was just ridiculous too. You don't want to alienate your best players. If there's something you can work out, then work it out.
Yeah, but according to Blanco, he said that he hadn't had a vacation or time off from football in over 5 years. So he said he was wanting one, but
and he's right, because I mean he was a fixture on them. They played tournaments every year, whether it was a Gold Cup or the Copa Quirin or what was the one in Saudi Arabia called before the Confed Cup?
Copa del Rey Fat.
Yeah, Copa del Rey
Yeah.
fought, yeah.
They played that. So, he played a tournament every year for 10 years.
And he was injured for basically a year as well,
Right.
Rehabbing and stuff. But yeah, they've just and I don't know. I still think that I still think that he should have gone to the World Cup in 2006. But oh well.
It was a dark day when that was announced.
Yeah, Bofo and Blanco should have been there. Bofo was on fire, man.
Yeah, that and I don't blame Vasco for taking Bofo either. Honestly, you need a wild card, and he played it. It didn't work out, but I mean, at least he tried. I'd rather a coach, go out on a limb and try something. If it doesn't work, instead of playing, do something scared or just not try anything at all. I think that the same thing that doesn't work, magically works this time.
What's funny? And this is by his own admission. Aguirre, the second time around, he didn't know the Mexican players anymore.
No, he didn't.
I mean, he was
spending all his time in Miami.
He was having to confide in Mario Carrillo, and in that, and like for example, that's why Ochoa should have been the starter also in South Africa.
Right.
But he went with his keep. No, Vasco didn't know him.
Right, Vasco's him.
Yeah, and also
he went with a guy that was his security blanket.
Yeah, that was his keeper in Japan, and also for the right back, Carrillo was trying to say you got to take Gringo Castro, you got to take Gringo. No, but he didn't take him. So I mean, there were a lot of guys that Carrillo was trying to convince, but Aguirre is just like I think he just. I don't know. I think Aguirre really screwed up. I think in South Africa.
That's yeah. Well, a lot of his decisions when it came to that were a little shocking. But the one that I think Carrillo also said that he was that he wanted Neri on the team too. He said because that he would have taken Neri also. Believe it or not, Carrillo. He thought that he still had.
It's funny because 2006, even though it was a heartbreaking loss to Argentina, people still responded to the team. Same thing even in Brazil, people responded to the team. For some reason, the fans didn't really respond too well with that team, and I don't know.
Well, I think it's because if Chicharito starts and like they had Guille Franco starting, so
yeah.
Right off the bat you got a guy that was very polarizing. That and then that starts, yeah. And instead of going with with the hot hand, who he was just just on fire at that time, and he there were players that like in the lead up were just playing terrifically well. I remember Bernardo Medina was having the looking as good as he ever did wearing Mexico, just playing. Like not thinking. You could just tell that he was just reacting and not thinking, and it was totally working for him. He didn't see a minute. There were just some baffling decisions that he made. It was weird, and he was. Did you get to go to his press conferences? Because his body language, especially the last one, was. He was just like. It was almost as if FIFA said, "You're not going to win this game, so don't even bother trying." His body language was just horrific. Like he knew that they were going to lose. It was just sent a terrible message.
Hey, changing subjects. Did you guys read the thing about Hugo Sanchez? Apparently he was on talking with Jose and all those guys on the show, and he was talking about about him wanting to win, and he still has the illusion of coaching Mexico and winning a World Cup. Did you guys catch that?
No. Did they give him what reaction did they have?
Well, it was actually a pretty good episode. They were talking. Faitelson, Chelis, Jose and Jose Ramon were all kind of going at each other, and Chelis or Faitelson basically said that the Mexican coaches they stay within their comfort, that basically mediocre, and Hugo Sanchez was getting a little
heated up, with both, more than anything with Jose Ramon, and he was, bringing up the fact that 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 he still has the illusion of wanting to coach Mexico, and he's saying that he's getting older, but he still has that illusion, but he doesn't know if he'll always have it, obviously with as he ages. But he was talking about, alluding to that, for Mexico to really change, that everything has to be autonomous. The federation has to be completely autonomous from the league. The officials have to be autonomous from the league and the federation and stuff like that. Wanted to hear your take on that.
Joel?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to be writing something. I didn't mean to be rude.
I'm going to admit, Ronnie, you kind of lost me a little bit. A little there myself. But maybe you could paraphrase what you just said.
Yes, paraphrase, please. Hello?
I think we just upset Ronnie Joel. I think that
Gentleman Ron.
we were busted. We got busted for not paying attention.
I'll post the YouTube link. So you guys can watch it.
No, can you paraphrase, please?
Okay. Basically, Jose Ramon, Faitelson, and Chelis, they were basically on was a Football Picante, and they were talking about obviously Mexico and and the coaching, and Hugo Sanchez still insists that the Mexican coaches aren't giving really an opportunity, and and they're not being supported. So I mean, obviously, it turns always into a fight, a fuss there, and Faitelson's always trying to troll and stuff.
Yeah, Faitelson is bad. I remember when Hugo was the coach, and they lost the qualification to the Olympics in Carson. And Faitelson was saying, he was going on a rant, and he was saying a generation of players is lost. He said, and I'm thinking
he wasn't wrong.
No, but how are you losing a generation of players just because they didn't go to an Olympic tournament? You're only guaranteed 3 games. I mean, it's not going to make or break you missing a tournament. For many years, Mexico would miss all of the top youth tournaments, and our selección still did good.
Yeah.
So I don't think you lose a whole and especially like from the youth teams, it's only about like 4 or 5 players that make it.
So is it just right?
I think you're onto something, because for very rarely do you actually see a player going from the actual 17 to the 20 to 20 20 23 21, and that even happens in the fuerzas básicas, where the team, the player that was really good in the let's say the 94 category, like I'm talking about the year, that in the when they jump up another year, they get another generation, they get a growth spurt or whatever, and they're forgotten. And I think you're right that Faitelson tends to overreact when they say, "Oh, we lost a generation of players." I said no, because if you think about it, like the 70s, what is it? The team that went to the first under-20 World Cup that they had, the one where Mexico lost in the finals against the Soviet Union.
Oh yeah.
It was in the late 70s.
77.
77. Out of that, I think there was only 2 players that actually went on to the national team to have relative success. And obviously now, with the 20, like the under, like the one from Peru, Giovanni's.
Yeah.
Really, the only ones that are still there is Giovanni and Vela.
Well, that's not true though. I mean, at least on the national team, yes, but I mean, there have been guys that have had very serviceable pro careers.
Well, Marquez and Torrado. I know there was 1 or 2 more players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But their generation missed Olympics.
Yeah, but that 05 team, they had some good players. I mean, they have Omar Esparza, who still plays. Andrete still plays. Patricio Araujo still plays. There's another one. Evan Guzman, he was with Primera.
Would you say that as far as that team, because I mean, right now, technically, those players right now, they should be what 28, 29,
right?
So they should be at the peak, years of their career. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, believe me, I agree with you. I just think that team is a misnomer because you usually don't have that many players come out of a team full of teenagers that end up being professional at any level. I mean, it just a lot of those guys quit the game. So for the fact that the 05 team has had 6 or 7 guys that had very decent careers, and a few of them still managed to make it onto the national team here, and then that is not normal.
From that team, Hector Moreno was on that team, if I'm not mistaken, right? No,
I think he was. Yeah, he's definitely part of that generation. He was on the U20 for sure.
So Hector Moreno, it was Hector Moreno, Giovanni, and Bella. They're really the ones that are still national team material. Now, from the 2011, the one that went into Mexico, who on that is on the national team right now?
Nobody.
Nobody.
I mean, and I can't even think of. Who out of that team? Carlos Fierro.
Yeah.
Is a professional. Marco Bueno, but he's disappeared. They just stay. It's nobody's left a mark.
What wasn't that the dude Chivas, the guy bold defender? What's his name? Wasn't he on that team? No.
Chaton? No, he was.
He was on the U20s. He was on the U20.
Yeah, he was on the U20 of that same year.
Yeah, you're right.
Even that generation, they haven't really provided anybody. I mean, Chaton and some guys, did okay for a little bit, but after that, they kind of disappeared too.
Because football. I guess in Mexico it tends to be like that.
I think you can say that about anything. These guys are teeny. They could have already peaked at 18 or 19. You just don't know. It's the same thing as college recruiting. How many 18-year-olds think they're going to be playing in the NFL, right? And the reality is that out of the and then they're sold to go to school to do that, and then out of the how many thousands of them, only just a few hundred have the opportunity. It's the same thing. The percentage would be about the same, I think, on the national team because you would think that maybe 1 or 2 guys will break through, maybe 3 or 4. If you get, that's why that 05 team I think is just so weird because you just don't see that from youth teams to have that many guys still playing professionally. 12 years later, it's not the custom. It's exactly what you were talking about. It just doesn't happen. Because you have guys like Oribe that don't blossom until they're 27 or 28.
Oh yeah, that happened with Matador and stuff like that. And then in the cases of for example the Gringo Castro, the guy he came out of the ranks. He didn't. He wasn't really one of the prospects with the team. And then all of a sudden he breaks onto the first team and he just starts killing it on the right flanks. And he wasn't he never really was part of the Mexico national team at the youth level. So
look at Guardado. No one even gave Guardado a sniff. He'd never been capped, and he went and then Volpe was like, I'm going to put you on the senior team right now. How can that happen? So it kind of makes you wonder just how political those decisions are. That a player like Guardado, who at 19 can be capped for the national team and not even at one point given an opportunity to play for the minor league teams.
Do you think Guardado will make it to 5 World Cups?
5? I'm not sure he's going to make it to this one, to be honest with you.
You don't think so?
I think that. He'll probably be on the team. He's a terrific player, but I think that one of the reasons Mexico did well against Costa Rica was that Guardado was not on the pitch. I think that Yona would have played a little better than him, and Guardado has not been playing well for Mexico lately. So, no, I'm pretty sure he'll make it. I don't know if he'll make it to 5, but so this would be his 4th one, right?
Yeah.
And he's just 29, so I can't remember if he's 30. Yeah, so he might make. He would have to be just a straight up defensive midfielder. That'd be the only way. He's having that kind of career where his positioning on the field is going backwards. Hey, but it happens, man. If you can do it, why not?
Yeah, because they were having kind of a heated debate about Rafa's possibly going to his fifth World Cup, and the person that was actually advocating for him to do it, even if it's just there for 1 minute, was Hugo Sanchez.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean he was getting heated, man. I mean it was fun watching him.
How cool would it be for like in Russia 18 if Mexico's already qualified, right? And they play the third game, and then they let Rafa come in and play the last 20 minutes, man. I'm personally hoping that we don't have to play Rafa in the World Cup, because seriously, I mean, I know he's a great player, and I know that it's debatable as to whether or not it's between him and Hugo as the best Mexican players ever. I think that an argument can be made for both, and both would have very compelling arguments. And so if he's still that good, then if he's still better than anybody else, then he has to play. But does that mean that the other players are just not good enough to beat him out, or is he just still that good?
I think at that point, he becomes kind of like a player coach, at that point in his career, where he may not be able to give you a full 90, but even if it's 45 or even if it's 30, and he can guide the younger guys. You have to take him, because there's not all 23 aren't going to play,
right?
And I mean, we know this. We know this with Chiquis Garcia. We know this with
right. The 23rd spot is an honorary position.
Yeah. So why not give it to a guy? Why not give it to a guy who's quote unquote an institution within the national team, or give it to one of the younger guys? Because, like, for example, in 2006, I was for having Giovanni, and I was there for having Giovanni and Vela. There, even if they were just there to vacation, but at least they would know
what it would take,
the pressure, and what it would take to be in the World Cup. Keep in mind, Ronaldo, el Fenomeno, he was part of the 2000 or the 94 World Cup. He didn't play. Yeah. But come 98, come 2002, he was ready. He knew what was up.
He scored a lot of goals.
Yeah, he did.
Even older, fatter Ronaldo scored a lot of goals in the World Cup. It's impressive, man.
I think he's the most complete player that I've ever seen. More than Messi, more than Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he's just the most impressive in terms of, there's certain things that Messi does better, than Cristiano Ronaldo. And I think there's certain things that Cristiano Ronaldo, does better than Messi and stuff like that. And they're both phenomenal, and they'll be one of the, all-time greats, these two players. But as far as Ronaldo, he's already one of the all-time greats as far as I'm concerned. But
he's the best pure scorer I've ever seen.
But the guy, as far as playing with his feet, playing with both feet, playing with the headers, being able to dribble, being able to, because he didn't rely on people. He can make his own plays.
Right.
I mean, he's not like like a Javier Borghetti or even a Chicharito. That you kind of need a little help to make those plays. No, this fucker can make his own plays.
Yeah, his finishing is outrageous too. I think that's what he could get service, like you said, make his own plays. But what made him so special in my mind was that he finished. I mean, he was gonna score if he got the chance, however small it was. The 9 times out of 10 he was gonna score. He was just terrific. He was so good at that.
I remember being in Dortmund, dude, for the Ghana Brazil game in 06, and that's when they beat Ghana 3-0, and the fans, his own fans, they were basically chanting, something about, I forget what it had to do something with his weight, Gordinho or something like that. But even even Ronaldo in 06 with the weight problems that he was having, dude, was fucking amazing. And I remember that little, the goal that he scored against Ghana, where he basically, Kaká, if I recall, basically threads the needle and he breaks, the Ghanaian defense.
Right.
And he's, running, basically one-on-one towards the keeper, and he does one of those little, Mickey Arroyo tries to do this all the time with those little,
step overs, right?
The step overs, and when like Mickey and them do it, it's so telegraphed, But when Ronaldo did it, dude, it just looked so graceful, dude. And keep in mind, dude, I was sitting in the press seats, so I mean, I kind of was like almost in the nosebleed sections. But even being that far away, dude, it looked so graceful the way he did it, dude. Where I mean, he just fooled and broke, the keeper's, hips, dude. I mean, it was just a beautiful goal. And I just, like I said, dude, I think he was just an amazing, amazing player.
Yeah, well, he's the all-time World Cup, or I guess actually close up.
Surpassed him.
But he still holds. Well, I guess the in modern times has scored the most goals in a World Cup since like Gerd Muller. So that is high praise indeed. 8 goals he had in that 02 World Cup. That is, most guys end up with 5 and they're the leaders. So he had 8 goals.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the only major trophy that he did not win was the Champions League, correct?
Yeah, I think you might be right, because I think that all those Real Madrid teams just always came up short.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, he won everything. He won Confederations, he won Copas Americas, he won obviously 2 World Cups. I know he won leagues in Spain and I think Italy, if I'm not mistaken. But I think the only one that he never was able to win was the Champions.
One thing I do want to mention before we close up shop here is, there is a team that's mathematically now in the World Cup, and it's of all teams, Brazil.
I know.
Who have obviously are starting to remember who they are, and are starting to play. Not the poetic, blah blah blah, but I mean, but more offensively, which is what I mean. You have the best attackers in the world. It's like Argentina's the same way. It's like how could you not just you have the most talented teams just possess the ball and then try and take it away from us, and we're just going to score against you and just deal with it.
Well, it's funny because now Argentina sits in the 5th spot.
Right. They're in trouble.
Oh, they're in big trouble because, I mean, I was actually looking at this earlier today. Brazil's qualified. Colombia has 24 points. Uruguay has 23 points. Chile has 23 points. Argentina has 22 points. And then you have Ecuador with 20. Peru with 18 and Paraguay with 18. Bolivia and Venezuela, they're already eliminated. Okay.
So you know what's going to happen, Ron?
But
New Zealand's going to make it through again, thinking they're going to get like a Paraguay or a Peru. They're going to get Argentina.
Oh man, that would suck.
Because here's the thing: for the next qualifying matches, you have Argentina's going to play Uruguay in Montevideo. And then they play Venezuela in Buenos Aires. But I mean, Jesus.
That is, in my opinion, the roughest game on the planet. When Uruguay and Argentina, and especially in Montevideo, I just think that is to me the toughest. I don't think any European game would match the intensity of a national. I think that is, and it's just right across the river from each other, right? So there's like that. Yeah, that to me is just a huge rivalry. I don't think that there's a game that is as bordering on the edge of becoming extremely violent as this game.
I was reading some tweets and. Obviously Messi suspended 4 games. But
that is so ridiculous. I mean, he didn't. I mean, all he did what any player does at the end of a game is go yell at the ref.
Well, you tend to wonder because keep in mind, Grondona's not there anymore. He's not. They don't have Argentina. Doesn't have a FIFA Exco. Anymore.
Right.
So you tend to wonder. You know how? Do you remember when Cabrito Arellano was suspended?
Yes.
And basically it was political, from Jack Warner trying to basically try to screw over Mexico, and Mexico had to concede a couple things.
That was like in Costa Rica, right? Wasn't there like a big fight in Costa Rica?
But this suspension came way after the fact. Like it came like by surprise, and obviously Mexico had to quit their shit and basically fall in line, and then they reduced Cabrito's what do you call it, suspension.
See, this is Ron, exactly what Liga MX should have done with that stuff about being suspended for a year. You do what it says, and then in a month you say, hey, they're the suspended sentence. They'll be back on it to whatever it is, and no one bitches. No, it's just everyone forgets, and it's just So
I mean, I'm wondering if this is someone is trying to leverage the AFA, to do something, or to, because this is really excessive.
And it was FIFA that did it. It was a FIFA ban. Yeah. So maybe they're sending Messi a message for the tax evasion.
I don't know. I just think I don't believe that this is just for the sake of the beautiful, of the game. This happens, like you said, every fucking game, at the end of every game.
Yeah.
And for something, and if it's true that he said "La concha de tu madre,"
I mean, if you see a timing sheet, right? A timing sheet, and like it'll have like the schedule of what happens. Like here's the national anthem, you do this. Here's the game, and then like the very bottom it says, and then for the after the 5 minutes, the players get to yell at the refs for 5 minutes, and then everyone walks off.
Yeah.
So he said something a little unsavory coming out of his good Christian mouth.
Yeah.
Well, it's I think it's outrageous, and I figured that he would be suspended the Bolivia game because I'm sure Messi didn't want to play in La Paz, and frankly, that's so that one didn't surprise me. But the other three I thought it would have been this one and then the next trip. But
now, hey, one question: if Argentina doesn't qualify to the World Cup, can you say that this is the end of Messi?
Well, yeah. I mean, he would. I'm honestly surprised that Barcelona has hung on to him as long as they have.
Is that Tano Passman?
Yeah.
Did you get a record? So anyhow, no, because it's funny because I think down the road, I think the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo was able to win something with his national team, and Messi, not. I think that may play more in favor to Cristiano than Messi.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, at least on the national team stage, there's no question. But I just always thought that Barcelona, they've always been so shrewd with their with when they make that generational change when they swap out their superstars. That it seems like usually a player like, I guess because he's been so good, but usually a player like Messi, they kind of they'll sell to Chelsea or somebody for an outrageous amount, and then go get the next 22-year-old phenomenon that or however old he is, and then they'll have them for the next one. This is what they've always done. It's really surprising to me, but I think there's no question that if they don't qualify for the World Cup, I mean, how can you go from making finals in 3 consecutive tournaments and then not playing well? I mean, let's face it. I mean, Argentina just has not. They play poorly, and yet they still win. And I mean, is that a testament to how good those players are, or is it an unfair expectation on us knowing that they have such on paper easily the best national team on the planet? Yet we have this romanticized version of how they should play, and they're not meeting up to our standards. So we think that they play poorly, yet they still make all the finals. It's so bizarre.
I think it has to do with you're right. I think that on paper they have, man on man, they have the best national team in the world. I just, and this keeps me going back to to the new way of coaching, where coaches don't want to rely on the actual players; they actually want to rely on their systems because they don't want to, like, Diego. You know how they used to say, what was it, Diego Independiente or Cuauhtémoc Independiente or whatever.
But that's the problem, though, is that they might have whatever their system is. Their system is basically give Messi the ball and let him try and do it, and we'll just watch. That is the Argentina formation that they play.
I don't think. I think that's the simplified version. I don't think give it to Messi. I think what people are frustrated when they see Argentina is that you're not seeing Barcelona. But keep in mind, Barcelona and these guys have been playing together for ages, and they see it every day. I think that's the frustration. I just think that Argentina, as in terms of the national team, I think they've lost their system, their way of playing. And
they're going through what Brazil has gone through, and it looks like Brazil is starting to understand that they just need to be who they are and play who they are instead of trying to adapt to what the coach has done or how they play elsewhere. Just be who you are.
I am a firm believer in this, that you keep in mind the last 3 World Cups have been won by Europeans.
It's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, and I think that that's going to continue to happen because the teams from Latin America are at a huge disadvantage. Because and that's why I've always said that Mexican players don't need to go to Europe. I think I think you're selling people a fairy tale that, they're going to go over there to Europe, and then all of a sudden they're going to get all this abundance of knowledge and stuff like that, and they're going to come back and they're going to make the national team better. There is value in having your teams readily available in your country where you can train with them and play and stuff like that. The coaches from South America and even now in Mexico, they don't get to see their players a lot. And keep in mind that the Europeans, they play European qualifiers, and they also play World Cup qualifiers. Whereas, like, for example, the South Americans, they don't play continental qualifiers for like the Copa America. It's just it is what it is. So I think that's also an advantage that the European players have. That obviously they're playing in their countries or relatively close to their countries. They're better organized, and I just see
right. They don't have to travel 18 hours to play a game.
No, I see this, and it's unfortunate because I think that on skill alone, I think Latin American players are the best in the world. But I just think that organization right now is one of the things that's keeping the European national teams, at a slighter, advantage than the South Americans.
Right, because up until maybe a little sooner for Brazil and Argentina, but I mean for
82
that really didn't happen until the start of the 21st century, where you start seeing the vast majority of non-European teams have most of their players play in Europe.
It's funny because 82 was really the threshold. That was really the year, like the before and the after of going to Europe and not, I think, and it's funny because really, to many, that's really when football died. Because Brazil for that World Cup, they could have advanced, but they still kept playing. Against Italy, they still kept playing.
Oh yes, I remember that game clearly.
Yes,
well, clearly.
I mean, they did what Brazil does. They wanted to play beautiful, and they wanted to win and score more goals. When in retrospect, that if what's his name, Tala, the coach.
No, Tele Santana.
Tele Santana. If he would have,
yeah, but there's a big difference in that game was that Brazil had to play catch up because every time that they would tie, Rossi would get another one. And I mean, I'm talking like 5-10 minutes later. So like they played the entire game from behind. It was stupid mistakes too. I mean, one of them was just really, really bad. But yeah, it was. But that team, only 4 players played abroad. Everyone else played in Brazil.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely That was one of the things that honestly surprised me about Mexico in their game against the Azteca was, the fact that they got like a player like Yona was able to, and Chicharito both were able to go the full, the full 90. I know it was very obvious that they slowed things down, but they really did well. I think that time will tell as to whether or not the Azteca will become what it once was, but it was very apparent in the second half that with a 2-0 lead at the Azteca that Costa Rica they said that, okay, enough's enough. We're gonna, as Joel said, we're gonna make sure we don't get into a situation where we have to worry about a tiebreaker, and they were happy with the 2-0 and they moved on. Well, we should probably move on, Ronnie, because it's getting kind of late.
One last thing.
One last thing.
If Mexico wins and beats Honduras and beats
the U.S.
The U.S., if I'm not mistaken, I think they qualify for Russia.
They would qualify, Matt. I mean, it would depend on if the fourth place or the fifth place team still has 4 points.
Okay, but basically they would at least ensure at least the inter-confederation playoff, right?
Right.
All right. Okay, never mind. So I was just thinking that in the event that Mexico does qualify to Russia by that event, and Osorio fucking bombs at the
it would be perfect for Tuca to come in. I mean, that would be like the ideal Tuca situation. You've already qualified, so you have to play qualifiers, but I mean, it's done, it's over. So just you can start doing what you want to do with the players, get to know them, and you have a year, and then like I said, we'll just do the fecha FIFA dates. No moleros. So he'll say, you know what, I'll do it, but I want a no molero guarantee. Is what Tuca would say. A no molero guarantee, and then he gets it, and then he coaches Mexico in the World Cup. And the fifth game would whatever be known as the Tucaso, because he would be the one to get us there.
Well, one can dream, John. One can dream.
El Tucaso Eterno is what it will be known as.
I don't know if you guys knew, but Mexico's match against Portugal is gonna fall on the 1-year anniversary of the Boda Roja.
Yeah, of the Red Wedding.
Really?
Yeah, the irony. So it will be interesting what happens.
That is very interesting. Wow, so it's on the right smack on the 1-year anniversary.
the saying is, el fútbol da revanchas.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Man, again, I'm in all honesty, and I know that I have a big, I'm a big Tuca guy, but I really want Mexico to do well in that too, because I mean, if they do well, then that opens up a real good opportunity to get a cabeza de serie. Because I think that by that point they'll be ranked probably in the top. You'd be real close to getting a top 7 FIFA ranking, and that would be absolutely huge. Absolutely, I mean it would be, man. And if they're playing well, it would be terrific. So I hope it happens. I hope they can at least get out of the group stage, and then whatever happens after that, because you get 2 more games. So. And then you'd go up against either Germany or Chile. So maybe they can have a doble revancha, Joel.
Doble revancha.
Yeah.
We'll see about that, Jon.
We will. It's obviously we are. It's gotten late, and we're everything we took is starting to affect the way we were thinking. So it's probably time for us to get off the CantinaMX podcast.
Yeah, Cantina, man.
For the first time, Chiquis. We went as long for you to drive down to San Antonio and back, and the podcast was still on.
I kind of got Stockholm syndrome, John. I've been trying to leave for the past hour, and I can't.
Well, you know why, Joel? It's because you can't quit us, Joel, is what it is. I need to get that clip.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. I'm driving like an hour. I'm driving kind of far, and it's like.
You're in the car right now?
Yeah, but it's okay. No. I'm after this ends.
No.
But the good thing there won't be traffic. But I should have been halfway there by now.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we should probably go. Chiquis, thanks as always for setting us up. This is and we have to thank Luis Velasquez for joining us. Joel, were you instrumental in making that happen?
Yeah, he was.
Yes, I was, sir. But
Yeah.
but also you, John, because John opened that door, and then we were chatting right before the podcast, and I'm like, hey, I'm about to go in the podcast, and he's like, oh, he remembered, and he's like, bring me on.
No, it was great, man. And, and
Team effort.
what I liked about it was we saw a different side. Not we saw the host of the show. He was giving us some of his
No,
experience.
but
Really enjoyed that.
yeah, also the insight that because he had been he went for the game, so
Right.
just having people at the game and
It helps.
it could just offer little insights there that we don't normally see.
No, it was good to have on. Hopefully he'll what we need to do is have the cartoon crossover. But we know we have to be very serious more on because their show's a very serious show. So it's,
Yeah.
Well, you've been there before, John.
I have. I had to be very serious. I only made fun of Johnny for being an Americanista once.
I was there early on. It's been like maybe 3 years now.
I feel kind of bad when we had Johnny Rico on and I asked him if because he's talking about how his grandfather became an Americanista and I asked him if his grandfather had become an Americanista before or after he'd gone to prison, and I feel bad that I asked him that.
Oh man.
Doesn't but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Hey Ronnie, congratulations on getting the contract, man. That is awesome news. Hopefully,
Thank you.
Yeah, Ron.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll hear one of the draft guys. Man, there's a taco truck outside the convention center that is just killing it. We'll know that they're talking about you. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a taco truck.
Well, technically, we're not. This was open to both food truck vendors and restaurants. So, we basically put in the name in our hat, and they saw our references and stuff like that, and they said, "Yep, we can use you guys for." So, I mean, there's actually a booth, so you'll be able to go in there, sit down, and stuff like that. So, it's not like you're gonna have food trucks out there. I mean, there's gonna be like almost like a fan fest type of thing, where
Right.
There's booths and stuff like that. But obviously, we'll get our name out there. Be exposed. Expose our name a little bit more out there.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on that. Joel, I know that your food truck came in a close second to getting some stuff there in LA. So we won't bring it up. But no, but Joel, that's I'm kind of surprised at both of y'all as far as your pragmatism toward what's going on. That's the only way you can look at it is just let the guy do what it does, and if it works out, great. But Joel, there's always a chance that it's going to end horrifically. Let's just let it end horrifically way down the road.
Yeah, I mean, if Mexico was going to change coaches, that would have happened right after the Boda Roja. They didn't, so now we just have to wait. But at the same time, we waited. It's not like I want him to fail. I might have like a negative opinion, but I still want the team to do good, and I want, I want him
Right,
to
we all-
succeed to that. But I mean, if it does happen, then it's like, oh man.
I've seen this before.
Yeah, and we have, all of us
Es la
that are
misma
following.
película.
Yeah. One of the directivos, I forget his name, and he said Mexican football is like a novela. You can stop watching them, and when you start up again, it's gonna be the same
It
thing.
won't take you very long to figure out what's going on.
So that's kind of become my take as well, since
Right.
I've gotten older.
No, it's there is some truth to that. Although it does seem like maybe things have gotten just maybe a weensy bit more professional, but we'll know what happens when the censo happens if the teams that win actually come up and if the ones that lose actually go down. So that's always a good barometer to see where they are on the Liga. But gentlemen, it's been a lot of fun. We should probably say goodnight. Chiquis, again, thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you. Good job.
Yep.
Ron, congratulations again, and we'll talk to you again.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
And Joel, again, I congratulate you on another sound prognostication, as it were, on
Thank you, sir.
how things went. So it's like you've seen this before. So anyway, thanks everybody. We really appreciate y'all joining us. I know we ran a little long, but I mean, honestly, when we start talking, I mean, the conversation is so good that we just don't want it to end. So, but we do have to put it to an end. But again, you can listen to this version of the show and all our previous editions in the Podcast Center on iTunes, and of course also on Google Play. And catch us every Wednesday night, about 9:30 p.m. Central on YouTube on the CantinaMX channel. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Good.